Okay, so I'll restart the intro. Hey everybody, my name is Marcos Avalon. I'm the head instructor of the Freestyle Fighting Academy based out of South Florida, out of Miami, and in Davie. Thank you for attending this webinar. Some of you guys can see already, I'm pretty new with the webinar technology. I've done two webinars already, and I'm still learning the ropes here. So I am recording the webinar, and I do plan on doing a replay if I pull this off correctly, because last time I tried, I messed it up. But slowly but surely, I'm going to be learning how to use this and hopefully be able to communicate more with everybody and help everybody out with these webinars. So with no further ado, we're going to get started. Now, I got to give a warning out. Okay, this is for people that are dead serious about pursuing martial arts and fighters. If you like martial arts as a hobby, which is great, by the way, if you are just curious and stumbling on here, some of the things that I'm going to say are going to be a direct contradiction to anything you've been taught growing up, college, friends, etc. It's going to go against a lot of what you might consider common sense. And the intention is not to offend anybody, but I'm just going to be teaching you how it worked for me and what I did and how I accomplished what I accomplished. So, in my opinion, this is only for people. What I'm going to tell you right now is only going to make sense or ring a bell for people who are 100% committed to living as a martial artist, as a career, like having their own school or being a full-time instructor or pursuing a career in fighting and mixed martial arts, kickboxing, boxing, any sport, competitive grappling, any kind of martial art related thing. Now, about 97% of people watching this video will be shocked and will strongly disagree. And like as I mentioned already, we possibly be offended by the advice recommendations I'm going to give in this webinar. It is what it is. Okay, I'm doing this for free. I'm doing this because I've been doing a couple of webinars already called Black Belt Psychology. And what inspired all this is I wanted a way to reach out to my students in my gym. So because in the classroom format, there's only after everyone trains and stuff, they're all tired and the next class is waiting. I don't really have the time to sit down and really preach what I consider important knowledge to my students about the psychology of combat, about the psychology of training, and it's common sense to everybody that, psychology is very important, but no one really works on it. So I created these webinars as a way to reach out to them, and while I was doing it for my students, I figured I might as well share it with everybody. So I posted on my Facebook and to my email list, which I have about 15,000 people on it, and I got a great response from it. And then someone wrote on Facebook, someone asked a question, and the question, it was Ruben Alvarez, and he posted a question where he said, what should I do? Should I pursue my MMA dream, or should I do the family tradition and become a cop like my dad, or I think his uncle, or he said the family tradition. And when I read that's what inspired this webinar, because I go, you know what, I know a lot of people are thinking the same thing, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm going to explain my story in a second, and I wanted a way to be able to reach out to people that were in the same spot I was in, to people like Ruben, to people in those spots that are wondering, is this something can they really pursue? Can they pursue this dream, or do they have to conform to what they've been taught? In his case, the family tradition of being a cop. So the purpose of this is not to step on anyone's toes and tell them what they're doing is wrong or that. The purpose of this is to reach out to those people that may be in the same position I was and will receive this advice the same way I was able to receive the advice given to me. 3% of the people watching this video will not sleep tonight. I'm sure of that. For a small portion of you guys on this webinar, the things I'm going to tell you, it may wake something up. It's gonna be like, this may be a pivot point for you. And I had a pivot point like this, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit. So now we got the warning out of the way. I don't want to hear anybody emailing me angry about something I said and saying, oh, what you said is whack, you're going to make people, you're going to ruin people's lives with that. It's not. Okay, I eliminated that, right? If you be one of those people, just go ahead and log off right now. Bam, baby, future MMA instructor superstar. Okay, that's me right there. I hated that picture so much. My mom said I tried to destroy it many times, and now many years later, I think it's funny. So here it is. So what's my story? Before I tell you, advice on how to be a success in MMA. I think it's only right for me to tell you who I am. Anyone could talk. You want to make sure you're learning from someone that actually backed up what they're saying. So I'm going to start with my history here. I started training in 1995. At this time, UFC 5 just took place, and Dan Severn won the 8-man tournament. For some of you guys, they call them TUF noobs, all right? They used to fight 8-man tournaments before. And I know some of you guys might think I'm being a smartass, but yesterday one of my purple belts was shocked that they used to have headbutting. And when I showed him growing shots with Joe-san and Keith Hackney, he couldn't believe it. He thought it was a joke. Like he didn't think that ever happened before. So yes, UFC 5 just took place. Dan Severn won an 8-man tournament. I don't even think there was weight classes. BJJ and grappling was almost unheard of. When I used to have people come in for the intro class, like what we had to do, we had to show them a video of people fighting first. Because like when they came in, if I tried to show them the guard, they would think I was trying to molest them. They would think it's some kind of weird gay fetish thing. Like no one had ever seen groundwork, the guard. That was unheard of. Back then, if you told people you were taking martial arts, they would ask you, oh, what belt do you have? And if you told them, oh, I was a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, they go, oh, my cousin Danny, he's a 4th degree black belt in karate. He'll destroy you, And they're talking about like point karate kind of stuff. Because back then, that grappling, BJJ, MMA, it wasn't unheard of. As I just said, karate was the most popular martial art at the time. What I mean by popular, I don't mean like, oh, the most schools were karate. I mean people thought you were a bad dude only if you did karate. Now, MMA technically didn't exist. What existed was NHB. Back then, the sport was not called MMA. That was a term I think that Zuffa coined when they took over the UFC in an effort to rehabilitate the image. Back then, it was called NHB, which stood for No Holds Barred. And another name was Vale Tudo, which was the Brazilian, which means everything goes. And I remember my Yellow Pages ad, which I still have, my first ad, it said kickboxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and NHB. And that was what the sport was called. So here's me in high school. I started out wrestling. That's what got me started in martial arts. I wrestled in high school, and then from wrestling I transitioned into mixed martial arts, but separately, learning kickboxing in one place, learning submissions in another place, putting things together. Here's me with my dad. You can tell by looking at the picture, it was not a happy picture, all right? I just lost. And when I first started out in wrestling, I lost my first 11 matches in a row consecutively, okay? And it wasn't like in wrestling in high school, they're dual meets, so it's like one match at a time. It's kind of like a main event kind of thing. So like everyone's watching and stuff, and I'd come out and lose. That's only 5 times, okay? 11 times in a row. Then I won my first match. And when I won that match, I remember thinking, oh, wow, now everything's going to change. Now I'm going to start winning everything. It's all I needed was the confidence. And then I went ahead and lost 7 more in a row. So I finished my first year of high school wrestling at 1-18. My next year, I would come back 22-5 and be ranked 7th in the state. And from there, it would just domino into eventually becoming a multiple-time national champion in submission wrestling and representing USA in Abu Dhabi after I won the Abu Dhabi trials. So I bring this up because a lot of people that are getting into the sport right now, if you're just getting into it, losing is part of the game, and I'm going to be talking about overcoming that adversity as well. Avalon Grappling begins. This guy is when in the year 2000, now it's what, 11 years ago, I just started my first club. Basically, my instructor that was teaching me at the time, he ended up moving. He got relocated for his work, and I was stranded. I had no instructor, and back then it wasn't like now. There was MMA schools everywhere. Back then it wasn't like that. So I found a Taekwondo school, and they let me use the place after 8 p.m. And we started our own little club. And the person all the way to the left, Rob Mallon, he's still a student of mine. He's a brown belt right now. He's been with me the entire time. And the guy in the middle is Enrico Coco. He got his black belt under me. He now has his own school, his own affiliation. And he's actually competing in Abu Dhabi. And then my brother and I to the right. Now, FFA opens in 2001. My current academy opens up in 2001, and that's the gym right there. It was a very nice gym. My resume when I opened up the academy. Now, keep in mind, like when I opened the school, let me just let the resume speak for itself. I had about a year of Jeet Kune Do training. I wrestled 2 years in high school. I had 3 years of NHB training. I'm going to stick to that since that's a time period. I had no belt rank in BJJ. I was a white belt. I had no business training of any kind. I was 21 years old at the time. I had no instructor training. We did old school training. What I mean by old school training, so let me give you an idea of the script we had when you joined our school. So let's say you came into the school. We would offer you a free class. And then I had this idea back then. Okay, it seems like common sense now, but I'm telling you, I didn't know anything, all right? And my idea back then was I want to impress people about how good this stuff is. So what we'll do is we'll spar in the first day. I'll give them MMA gloves, and we'll spar in the first day. And then somewhere in the sparring session, I'm going to make sure to kick them in the head. All right? So I always made sure to squeeze in a head kick in the first time they sparred. And then, we beat the hell out of that guy. And then afterwards, if they didn't join, I would just go, oh, I guess he was a pussy, like he wasn't meant for this. And that was our whole business plan back then, that was the extent of it, So the old school training, like we used to break people's ribs regularly in class. I remember me personally, I broken 2 different guys' ribs, and we didn't think anything of it. And I'm talking about people that were just joining the school and stuff. So that was going on. I had no startup money whatsoever. I lived in my parents' house. I was not riding the UFC popularity because nobody had ever heard of it. You have to understand that UFC for a good time period was banned from cable. It was considered human cockfighting back then. And it was very common for people to have never heard of the UFC or ever even knew about cage fighting. So we opened the school in 2001. By 2004, 3 years later, what were our accomplishments? We hosted celebrity seminars. We had Tito Ortiz, Ulf Tatarov, and these guys at that time. I mean, Tito was still a big star, but back then Tito was like he was an unstoppable force. I was going to say he was like Fedor, but Fedor just lost. But he was like Anderson Silva, okay, back then. He was somebody that everybody wanted to meet, and we had him come to our school back then. My brother and I, we won lots and lots of grappling tournaments. Mixed martial arts was illegal in Florida at the time, so we were winning a lot of the local tournaments. Our competition team was excelling. We had a 16-year-old tap out a brown belt. We had FFA was featured in many magazines. We got a fighter into the UFC from scratch, which was Charles McCarthy. 3.5 years from him stepping into the gym, not knowing anything, we got him to fight in the UFC. Both my brother and I qualified for ACC, which stands for Abu Dhabi Combat Club, which is the most prestigious tournament in submission grappling in the world. Like bar none, there's nothing that compares. And it's held once every 2 years. There's only 5 weight classes. 16 grapplers are invited per weight class. And both my brother and I qualified for it. My brother defeated Henry Gracie. And back then, the Gracie name is still a big name, but back then, the Gracie name was like on another level. I remember the controversy when Royler Gracie was defeated by Sakuraba, and it was like, wow, Gracie lost. It was like back then they were considered like superheroes. And in that time when they were very popular, my brother defeated Henry Gracie. So at this point, for a startup school from scratch, we had guys competing in Abu Dhabi. We had a guy in the UFC, which was like, remember the UFC back then, it's not like now. Now there's like 2-3 UFCs a month. Back then, there was only like a UFC every 3 or 4 months. And if you were in MMA, it was so hard to get into that show. So we had a guy in the UFC. We had people tapping out brown belts as teenagers. We had all these things going on. So how many students did my school have? It had only 60 students at $60 a month. So I was facing serious problems. We had no curriculum, no instructor follow-up, there's no structure, no marketing, no sales, no contracts. There was no business. I was over $30,000 in debt. I had collection calls coming nonstop. Maybe some of you guys can relate. At 9 a.m. Sharp, as soon as the clock hits 9, the phones will start ringing, and people are like, yo, hey, Mark, what's up, Margos? I'm like, who is this? Hey, I'm so-and-so with so-and-so company where you owe us this money. Like, it was just like nonstop, credit cards were all backed up. I was losing money every single month. I mean, I was 3 years already into the gym, and I was still, losing $100 here, $200 there, $500 here per month, sometimes more. I got a divorce in 2004. That was part of the fantastic journey. Okay, it's like a country song at this point. You know, if I had a dog, it would have died right now. Uh, um, my brother was forced to work a job full time. He worked at the power plant, and he was working full time just to keep the gym afloat. Because, like I said, not only were we in debt, we were losing money every month. We had no staff because we couldn't afford any. So it was my brother and I, and my brother and I we would teach all the classes. And keep in mind that we had two other instructors. My bad, that's what I meant in this bullet. I was trying to understand this bullet. Only two instructors who taught 3 classes a week. We had 2 other instructors that were along with us, but them 2 combined only taught 3 classes a week. So my brother and I, well, in this case it was just me because my brother was working full time. So I would teach all the classes when by the time my brother had to go and work, I was teaching all the classes by myself. So I was teaching the morning class, I was teaching the kids class, I was teaching evening classes. I was doing the intro private lessons for all the people coming to school that were taking their first class ever. You know, it was like, and then I would, of course, I clean the toilets, I mop the mats. I would everything that needs to be done in the gym, I did. It was a one-man show. I dropped out of college. I had a full scholarship. I was my family tradition. We talked about Ruben's family tradition being a cop. My family tradition was to be an engineer. Everyone in my family was an engineer. My dad was an engineer. My grandpa was an engineer. My great-grandpa was an engineer. All my uncles were engineers. Everyone was engineers. So I was in college with a full ride. I had a great GPA. I had a 3.65, 3.67, something like that. And I was about a semester away from graduating. I had about 16 credits left, and I dropped out of school. And I'll get more into that in a bit. But although I list it as a problem right now, it ended up being a good thing. But at the moment, it was part of the stress because I had no backup plan, and everything was not working. We had one BJJ black belt that was at the school. He's the one who gave me my black belt, Mr. Ricardo Teixeira. And unfortunately, he got deported. Okay, so like I said, you know, a lot of problems are going on. The second in charge instructor, one of the 2 instructors that I listed there that were teaching 3 classes a week, well, he ended up opening up his own school and took a bunch of students, and it was one, you know, everyone that's part of the school knows what I'm talking about, the little politics part where the guy leaves, calls up all the guys, tries to take them to his school. Well, in the midst of all this stuff, where everything's going so terrible for me, you know, I don't know anything about business, I don't know anything about teaching, 30K in debt. I got the collection calls. Just got divorced. If anyone's ever been through something like that, that alone is enough to mess someone up. My brother's working full time just so we can break even. I only have 2 other guys that barely helped. I basically was doing everything: mopping, cleaning the toilets, doing the contracts, handling cancellation. Well, not contracts. I didn't have contracts back then, but just dealing with people, charging everything. Dropped out of school. Our patriarch, jiu-jitsu guy, gets deported. Then the guy leaves on top of everything. The only guy I had to lean on leaves and starts taking students. So this was me, and the funny thing about this is that, well, it's not funny, but the night before leaving to ACC trials is when I was doing this. I was getting drunk as hell. The guy to my right had a blunt in his hand, I think. So it's like, this is, I'm a person, if anyone that knows me now, and back before this, I was a person that never in my life drank a drop of alcohol. And right now I don't drink. I've never done any kind of drugs. I don't do any of that. And I was so depressed at this point in my life that this is a self-destructive behavior. Okay, like the ACC was my ultimate goal. I mean, I did MMA and stuff, but at that time period, my passion was submission grappling, and the ultimate goal of any submission grappler is to get into ACC. And I got into the trials, and the day before the freaking trials, I'm catching a plane. The next day, I'm getting completely drunk. And this was part of a self-sabotage, because at this point in my life, I felt like a complete failure. Nothing was working for me. I was living in my mom's house, driving my mom's car. At this point, I was like about 4 years into the grind, working like an animal, putting in over 60, 70 hours a week, and I was losing money. I don't think many people can appreciate, well, some of you guys in this call do, and that's why you're on this webinar, but a lot of people cannot appreciate what it's like to work 60 or 70 hours with no guarantee of even making money. Forget about becoming independent. I'm just talking about being able to live like a human being and pay my own bills. And I dropped out of school. I feel like a disappointment to my family, because in my family, nobody was supporting this. Right now, they all love it, but back then, nobody was supporting it. Trust me on this one. I'm going to get into that in a bit. But at this point in my life, with the divorce and everything, all these things compounded together. I was contemplating suicide, and I remember thinking to myself that the way I would do it is I would jump off a very tall building, because I didn't want my dad to blame himself if I shot myself in the head. I didn't want my dad to blame himself for teaching me how to use a gun. So it was very, very real and a very hard time in my life at that point. Now, what happened that changed this? All right, if you guys don't know who that is my mentor and my savior, Master Lloyd Irvin. Okay, I put him that Photoshop. I don't care if you guys tell me it's a bad Photoshop with the neck and stuff, but you gotta give me props. I'm finding a black Superman. All right, if you try to go on the internet and find a black Superman, it's not easy to find. All right. Now, what happened with Lloyd? Well, I was competing in a tournament in New Jersey, and after the tournament, Lloyd bumped into me there. And I never met him. I mean, I knew of him, but I never met him. And he told me, "Hey, Marcos, what you doing right now?" And I go, "Well, nothing. I went by myself up there." So I was like, nothing, I guess I'm going to go eat something. He goes, "You want to come with me?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I went with him to dinner, and I was sitting there, and he goes, and he just asked me 2 questions. And he asked me, "Marcos, what business are you in?" And I said, "I'm in the martial arts business." He said, "Wrong. You're in the sales and marketing business." And I stopped and I thought about it. I was like, man, this guy is completely right. Like I can do martial arts all day. It's not going to do anything if nobody knows about it. If nobody, if I can't communicate this to anybody, it doesn't make a difference how good I am. Because back then my philosophy was like, I got to fight and win every fight. Like if I keep competing and keep winning, and my brother keeps competing, we keep winning, then that's going to be what's going to make us big. And it had nothing to do with it, And then the second question he asked me is, "What's your business plan?" And I had none. And I didn't even know what the question meant. And he said, "Explain to me what your business is about." And I go, "What do you mean? Like, explain to me, like right now, what's your business? How's it work?" I go, "Well, people come to the gym, and when they come inside, I show them the prices, and I offer them a free class, and if they like it, they join. If they don't, they don't." And he was like, "That's it?" And I was like, I felt stupid, but I had nothing else to say. And he goes, "Well, do people call?" I go, yeah, they call. And what do you do?" "Well, I tell them the prices, and if they come, they come. If they don't, they don't." And he goes, "Well, how do they call you? Do you advertise?" I go, "Yeah, I do." He goes, "What do you do?" I go, "I got an ad in the Yellow Pages." He goes, "Okay, that's good. What else do you do?" And I had nothing else. So at that point, Lloyd told me, "Look, Marcos, I'm going to give you an opportunity, and this is what I'm going to offer you. If you come next week to Maryland and spend the week with me, I will change your life. But you have to come this Monday, and I'll train you in the ways of sales and marketing for 1 week." And I said, "Well, I'm there." So what I did was I got one of my blue belts, and I told him, "Hey, look, man, here's the keys to the gym. If someone calls or wants some information, just take the number down and tell them that we'll call them back next week." I went over there, and I spent a week at Lloyd's. And God bless him to this day, man. I can never express enough appreciation. He took me in, trained me about 8 hours a day, gave me an instructor course on how to teach, gave me a basic marketing course on how to set up my website, about how to do sales letters and how to do sales, a whole bunch of knowledge. And started not just about actual technical stuff, but philosophical stuff about how to change my mindset so I can feel like I deserve more. Things I'm going to go over in this webinar. I was very inspired by Master Lloyd. And when I got back that week, what changed in the first month? I used to average about 4 to 5 students a month. So I would sign up 4 to 5 new students a month, and of those 4 to 5, about 4 to 5 would quit every month. So it was like a dead even thing, around 60 students. The first month I got back, I change my website. I'm not going to get into this stuff because it's technical stuff, but I just want to make a point about the things I learned, because there is knowledge to the game, and I'm going to get into that about how important it is to find knowledge. But I made a bunch of changes to my school, and what really changed is I went from 5 students a month to 20 students that month. and I never looked back. Right now, well, look, the gym went from that to that. That was 4 months later. That was 4 months later. So we expanded. And we expand. That's me doing manual labor. It's not a common sight these days. So what else happened? Since then, today, we've expanded 5 times at that location. Right now, we're in the middle of our 5th expansion. I just updated this. We're in the middle of our 5th expansion to another 4,000 square feet upstairs. So we've opened a second location 30 minutes away in Davie. We became the only open 24-hour MMA gym. We have 2 training rooms, a full-size cage, and a boxing ring. We have full-size weight room, locker rooms, and showers. We have 4 grapplers we put into Abu Dhabi. My brother's come 4 times in a row. My brother just finished 3rd in the world in the last Abu Dhabi, submitting 3 out of 4 of his opponents. We've had fights in Elite XC, Bodog, Bellator, Strikeforce, and the UFC. And I've had former students featured in 4 seasons of The Ultimate Fighter. We have an all-time fight record, as if I just did these stats for this presentation. We have an all-time fight record of 188, 74, and 3. That's a 72% win ratio in the past 10 years. We've done training camps in Thailand, Cuba, and Brazil. We have a big kids and teens program. We hit the 1,000 student mark. I have over 1,000, it feels weird to say, but I have over 1,000 active students in my Miami gym. And I support over 30 employees. Our gym easily grosses over $1 million a year. We have an online video curriculum. I've produced 5 black belts in Leonor Coco, Enrico Coco, George Masvidal, Mike Bernhardt, and John Mangual. Think about it. I mean, if you have dreams of getting your own black belt, and you can visualize what it's like to get your own black belt, trust me when I say this, producing your own black belts is like another level. Like getting your black belt's one level, and then producing a black belt's another level. And I've been able to produce 5 black belts. So this was FFA in 2001. This is FFA today. That entire thing's a storefront. I cropped the picture, so from left to right, the entire first floor, those blacked out windows all the way to the left, that's us. From the very edge of that left slide, all the way to the right, is our gym storefront. And we just took over upstairs 4,000 square feet because there's no more space downstairs. So here's a front entrance. This is going to be like the MTV Cribs tour of the gym. That's one of our training rooms. It's in the monkey bars and stuff. Here's our cage room, the boxing ring. Here's our weight room. You have to understand, guys, you know what it's like. If you had a dream of owning your own gym, this is my dream. Like, I always wanted to have a gym with all these things. This is a private lesson room, like our van. Like, there's nothing that I want from my school that I don't have. Like, I always dream, like, man, one day I'd like to have a big gym with 2 big training rooms, a big cage, a boxing ring, a weight room for my fighters, locker rooms, you know what? And I like to get a fighter house so that the guys in my fight team can live in the fighter house. Well, guess what? I have a fighter house. Okay, I have my guys, my top guys. They don't work. Well, I'll get into that in a bit. But, like, everything that I've ever wanted to do as a fantasy with my school is being done right now. And it's an amazing feeling, guys. And that's why I'm going to share more with you in this webinar. What else happened? That's my wife, my beautiful daughter. Love them both. Okay. Now, along with the gym, there's also the personal lifestyle. Okay. I own 2 properties. I'm in the process of getting a 3rd. I got nice cars. I had 0 debt. For those of you guys that are in debt, you can appreciate the relief I'm talking about when I say 0 debt. I don't owe $1 to anybody. It's an amazing feeling. I've traveled to Thailand, Cuba, Canada, the Bahamas, Barbados, Dominica, Puerto Rico, Spain, Costa Rica, Hawaii, and all over the USA. My brother, wife, sister-in-law, and parents are all involved with the family business. I do what I want, when I want. I have true freedom. This is me in the Bahamas with my wife. This is me in Costa Rica with my wife, Dominica, Hawaii. This is in Barbados, Universal Studios, DC, Niagara Falls, Canada, which is a freezing tundra of a place. This is me in Thailand, Cuba. So how do I do it? this is the main event, right? Like, how did I go from being flat broke, contemplating suicide, okay, to now being a financially independent person, having everything I've ever wanted in the school, anything that I desire for my family, I have. I've also I don't know if I've already mentioned, I've also got to train everywhere I want. And I've always had a dream of being able to go to Thailand and live there for a month and train, and I did that. You know, I had a dream of going to Cuba and boxing in Cuba. You know, with all those hardcore like Olympic boxers and stuff. I did that. You know, anything I want to do, I can do. So how did I do this? What made it happen? There's 9 points, okay, that we're going to go over right now. And right now, remember I said about taking notes? Now's the time to take notes. Now, at this point, I think you obviously now believe that I've accomplished something with the martial arts. And I'm going to show you guys right now the recipe. There's no people, you know who are the only people that say being a success is about luck? Failures. All right? Go ask any successful person you know if he was lucky to be successful. And his opinion is not going to be that it was luck. There's opportunities that he took advantage of that people may interpret as luck. Like, oh yeah, but that happened to him. But the failures get a lot of opportunities as well, and they never jump on it. A failure would have gone to dinner with Lloyd, and when that Lloyd told him about coming to his gym, he would have told him something like, yeah, but you don't understand, Lloyd. I can't leave my school alone for a week. You know, I'm having a lot of tough times right now. I can't afford to fly up here. You know, I appreciate the offer. Okay. And then the failure would have saw another person being successful and said, wow, that guy's so lucky. In reality, he had the opportunity and he blew it. Right now, you guys are being hit with an opportunity because you're going to be hearing some real, pardon my language, you'll be hearing some real shit right now. And I need you guys to really focus right now and take this stuff to heart. So what are the 9 steps? 1, I made a decision. I'm going to break down specifics, okay? I'm not just leave you hanging with just these 9 things. I'm going to break it down. But 1, I made a decision. 2, I burned all my boats. 3, I was willing to make sacrifices and endure pain. 4, I stayed focused on my goals. 5, I sought knowledge and found a mentor. 6, I stuck to the mentor like crazy glue. 7, I implemented everything and waited my turn. 8, while waiting my turn, I ignored everyone else. And 9, my team always came first. So I made a decision. You'll know if you made a decision. You'll know when you made a decision. It is life-altering, and you will probably remember that moment for the rest of your life. For me, that making a decision was when when I was in that restaurant with Lloyd. And I remember it so clearly. And it was after he asked me the second question. That's why I remember the first 2 questions. I don't remember the rest. I just remember those first 2 questions. He asked me, what business are you in? And then he said, wrong. You're in the sales and marketing business. And he asked me, what's your business plan? And it's after I said my so-called business plan that I realized, man, I don't know anything. And at that point, I said, I got to find out from this guy. So when he offered me the opportunity, it was like I had to take it. And that was, for me, making a decision. And you could say, you know what? You could say I made 2 decisions. Because another big one for me, another one of those moments where I remember where I was at, and I remember everything, was when I dropped out of school. I had about 16 credits left. I was going to graduate magna cum laude. I was in class and I was taking reinforced concrete for civil engineering. This is one of your last classes. So the professor got in there. It was the first day of school. And he said, all right, everybody, you're out to start reinforced concrete. This will be one of your last classes. From here, you do your senior project, and you'll graduate and be working in the field as civil engineers. And he said that as like a pep talk, like to get everyone excited. And for me, it had the reverse effect. I said, oh my God, this guy's right. After this, I'm going to be working as an engineer, 9 to 5. And I told right there, I was like, nah, man, that's not going to happen. And right there, at that point, I put my hands on the table, stood up, walked out, dropped out of school, never looked back. That was another big decision point for me. And I even remember where I was at and everything. So at that point, I decided I was going to live or die by this school. April 2003. April 2003 was a month that nobody came to school for information. Like every month we sent up 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, and that month we sent up 0. It was the only time in the history of our gym we sent up 0 people that month. And my brother had a meeting with me that month to decide about should we close the school down or not. So after we did that first meeting, every month at the end of the month we'd sit down and have another little mini meeting like, okay, should we close down or not? No, we debate and okay, let's keep going. Well, after I put my hands on that table and stood up, I told myself, I'm never having another meeting about closing the school down. Like, if I have to, I will sleep on a park bench before I give up the school. I'm going to draw the line in the sand. I'm going to live or die by this school. And that was a big, I made a decision moment for me. Now, it's a liberating feeling, and in many ways it reduces stress. Even though I was going through a lot of problems, one problem less I have to think about now was that stupid meeting at the end of the month about closing the school down or not. It was a big stress. Every night, there would be nights where I would sneak out of bed, I would sneak out, go in the bathroom, and just sit there on the floor and just put my hands in my hair and just pull my hair and just think, how am I going to get out of this situation? And it was like, should I close the school? Should I not? Should I keep it open? Should I not? The second I decided I'm not closing the school no matter what, that was something I never thought about anymore. That was one headache less in my life. And in many ways, it was very liberating to not have to think about having to close the school down or not. When you make a decision, this marks the beginning of many big changes in your life and your lifestyle. When you make a decision, you'll know what I'm talking about when you made one, if you haven't made one yet. But at this point now, things are going to change because you got to do the things that are needed to be done. Now, have you made a decision yet? Think about that. I burned all my boats. Burning the boats is a term from Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. If you haven't read the book, read it, buy it, get on top of it. My brothers read the book 8 times. I've read it 4 times. Master Lloyd Irvin's already have read it over 20 or 30 times. Now, if you don't care about having a martial arts school, you're listening to this about being a martial arts career fighter, get the book anyways. Ignore the part about rich. A lot of times people hear that and they get turned off. Oh, money bugs and that. You could switch all the goals that it talks about, which are monetary goals, and switch it with world titles. And it'll work just as beautifully. And you're going to hear some examples of how that's going to be like. I dropped out of college and abandoned even the most remote possibility of closing the gym. That was my burning of the boats. Now, what's this? I forgot to talk about what the story means. The burning of the boats comes from a story of Cortez when he arrived from Spain to the Aztec Empire, okay, to Central America. And when he arrived, he was heavily outnumbered. So what he did was when they landed, the first order he made was to burn all the boats. So they burned the ships down, and then he turned to his men and said, now the only way to live is through victory. Understand the significance of that, okay? Because when you have those boats in the back, when the going gets tough, the temptation to head back to those boats and go back to what you were doing is way too strong. I'll give you my own version of burning the boats, my own analogy of burning the boats. They say the average man can hold his breath for 4 minutes, meaning that if I get a plastic bag, duct tape around your neck, you will take 4 minutes to die. And that's why they consider that form of execution a very cruel form of punishment. So now the question you might be wondering is, but how come that's not true? Because I can only hold my breath for 1 or 2 minutes. That's because as the oxygen starts depleting from your lungs and the ratio of carbon dioxide to oxygen becomes higher, your body has an alarm that goes off that tells you need to breathe. And it will do everything in its power to breathe. If someone's trying to hold you underwater, man, you'll fight that person. You do whatever you can to get up and get air. And that's going to start happening only after 1 to 2 minutes. But the reality is that if you were stuck in a car underwater, you'll stay longer than 1 or 2 minutes. You'll take it to 3 minutes, and you'll take it to 4 minutes before you drown. You're not going to open your mouth 1 to 2 minutes underwater. You're going to take every second. You know why? Because you have no choice. You're stuck underwater. Okay? Well, it's the same thing with success. Napoleon Hill talks about how a lot of the greatest people, because what Think and Grow Rich is about, Napoleon Hill was a reporter, a young reporter, and Carnegie, who back then was one of the richest men in the world, like Bill Gates, he contracted Napoleon Hill, and he told him, look, what I want you to do, I'm going to introduce you to all the richest self-made millionaires in the world, and I want you to create a book that details all the common similarities, because Carnegie himself was a steelworker. He was a poor man, and he became the richest man in the United States. And this is during like bad economy, during the Depression, and he was wondering, how come there's certain men like me that went from broke to filthy rich, and then everyone else stays broke? Like, what are the differences and common similarities that all self-made millionaires have? So it took, I think, Napoleon Hill something like 20 years, and he interviewed all these different people. Because using Carnegie's contacts, he had him meet people that knew Edison. He had him meet Rockefellers. He had him meet like all these big cats at the time. So one thing he drew as a common trait they had was that all those guys burned their boats. Okay, so for me, burning my boats was dropping out of school and abandoning even the most remote possibility of closing the gym. See, once I dropped out of school, there was no turning back. So, you know, if I would have got my degree and became an engineer, there always would have been that temptation to, you know what, let me just get a job working as an engineer in the meantime, just for a little bit, just for a little while, just to help me out, make some money to pay my bills, and then I'll refocus on my school later, you know. Or I would have had got married, I got remarried, so I would have got married, and then I would have been like, oh, you know what, let me just I need some money, let me go back to my engineer, you know, go and become an engineer again. Or, oh, I just got a kid, you know. The temptation, just like being underwater, would have been holding your breath, would have been too strong. If you're just in a swimming pool, you're not going to hold your breath for 4 minutes. You're not. Only if you're like a Navy SEAL. And why can those guys pass out underwater? Because they have the mental fortitude that they've developed, which we will be learning as we go through this. So if you really want that goal, if you really want to be a professional mixed martial arts fighter, if you really want to have your own MMA gym, my advice is to burn your boats. Yes, quit your job. Yes, I'm saying that. All right? Yes, drop out of school. All right? Now, if you're a teenager and you're on this thing, oh, man, I hate if you're a teenager if you're on this thing. All right? This is really meant for people who want to become professional fighters that are over 18. If you're a teenager that's on this thing, you gotta talk to your parents and stuff. Don't go and drop out of school, and don't do those things and tell your parents I told you to drop out of school. Okay? But if you're a grown-ass man or woman and you're in college right now and you're thinking about your backup plan, this and that, and what everyone tells you of a good backup plan, that's poison. Okay? The backup plan is good for being mediocre. You will, you know, make a decent living. You'll make it 30 grand a year, 40 grand a year with your backup plan. If you want to be financially independent, if you want to have your dream job, you want to be that big star fighter, okay, you got to burn all your boats, man. You got to dedicate yourself fully to that goal. Like Cortez, the only way out is through victory. You know, the only way to survive this thing is through victory. Then you're going to do what you got to do. It's like if I put you in that car and throw you in the bottom of the ocean, man, you can't just tap out and grab the oxygen tank. There is no oxygen tank. You're going to have to use every ounce of your breath. You have to use a full 4 minutes to find a way out of this car because there's no turning back. You cannot get out. Once you get out of it, you're going to break the windows. You do whatever you got to do to get out. It's the same thing with pursuing that goal. Is it scary to burn your boats? Very scary. Okay? It's terrifying. It takes balls to burn your boats. And burning your boats, is that a guarantee of success? No, it's not a guarantee of success. So it is scary. But it is one of the ingredients needed to be successful. Now, how can you burn your boats? Think about that question today. If you want to do this, if you want to follow my formula, if you want to follow the formula of Napoleon Hill, what can you do to burn your boats right now? I was willing to make sacrifices and endure pain. Okay? A lot of people have this false impression when they come to the gym and they think like I always had it so nice, you know. And you gotta pay your dues, man. I went 4 years working over 60 hours a week, and it's not that I did it for a little bit of money. I made no money. That's why I laugh when people are like, "Oh man, but I'm only making X amount, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, I freaking made no money. Okay, I worked over 60 hours a week for years making nothing. I lived with my brother in my parents' house. My brother and I shared a car with my mom. We drove 45 minutes each way just to get the train. We traveled all over the country to compete as much as possible, thinking that it was going to make us better. We worked over 60 hours a week. I cleaned toilets. My brother worked full-time at the power plant. His entire check went to paying off our debts. We lived with zero money or income for years. Okay? So if you're going to jump into this, don't think like, okay, so like in a year, man, you better buckle down and be ready to do this to sacrifice not a year, okay, but years. How many years? I can't tell you, because the answer is going to be different for everybody. Okay, opportunities come at different times, and you're ready for opportunities at different times. But you gotta be willing to do it. There's a story. I don't know if I have it for later in my presentation, but I'm going to talk about it right now. Okay, there's a story about this man named Edwin Barnes. And Edwin Barnes, he was a broke person. He owned nothing but the clothes on his back. And he saved every penny he had and sold everything he owned to get a ticket to go to Jersey so he could meet Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison is the guy who invented the light bulb, in case you don't know. All right, and the guy at the time was a big-time millionaire. This is in the very early 1900s. So Barnes got all the way over there to Jersey, had nothing but the clothes on his back when he got there. And he got in there and had the opportunity to meet Edison. And he got in there and shook Edison's hand and said, "Hello, Mr. Edison. My name's Edwin Barnes, and I came here to become your business partner." Edison laughed, looked at the guy's clothes, looked like a beggar, but he appreciated the balls it took for this guy to do this. So he gave him a job working minimum wage, the worst job they had available, some kind of like a manual labor thing at the company. So this guy would get the check and live in a ghetto apartment, the worst living conditions. He ate like terrible, but he stuck there, and he stayed there for 4 or 5 years, working this terrible job, seeing zero improvement. Like there was no like little hints like, oh, you're doing a good job, you're gonna get promoted. Nah, man, 4 or 5 years with no hope in sight, just grinding. Okay, and eventually something happened. Edison invented this the dictation machine, and nobody wanted to sell it. They all thought it sucked. All the salesmen wanted to stay away from it. So Barnes saw an opportunity and told Edison, "Hey, you know what? I'll sell it." And he took off with it, and it became a huge success. And Edison recognized how great he was doing with it, gave him exclusive rights, and made him and in doing so, he had successfully completed his initial goal of becoming a partner with Mr. Edison. And Barnes retired young and rich. And how did Barnes do it? He was willing to make sacrifices and endure pain. And he burned all his bridges. Burned all his boats. He left everything behind to go to Jersey. Now, I stayed focused on my goals. 97% versus 3%. It's a ratio you're going to hear me talk about a lot, because the ratio that exists out there. 3% of the top 3% of the population do things extraordinarily different than the bottom 97%. It's just the truth. The reason why the top 3% in the top is because they're doing things the bottom 97% don't do. It's that simple. I'm sorry, excuse me about the sneeze. You can repeat. Everything's like a recipe. You do everything these top 3% do, you will get the same results. It's not like a roll the dice or some kind of weird thing. So you have to understand, do you want to be a 97%er or do you want to be a 3%er? And you got to think in 3% mode. Okay, I avoid the 97%ers. They're a bit cancerous, because the 97%ers, they want to bring you down to what they're doing. And you're not doing it. I'm sidestepping too much. I'm going to get into that topic in a bit. My big race analogy. When I stay focused on my goals, I think of everything as a race. Okay? Right now, if you're 20 years old or 19 years old or 18 years old and you're starting an MMA career right now, let's say you're 18 and you're starting up right now. If we were to look at this as a race, if you were at the 145-pound weight class, I'm just picking a random weight class, Jose Aldo is world champion right now. Now, if your goal is to be the champion of the world, which it should be if you get involved in anything, if you get involved in anything, it's might as well be the best. And if you're involved in MMA fighting, your goal is to be the world champion. So right now, if we were to think of this as a race, Jose Aldo is way ahead of you. He's like a mile away from you right now. Now, if we're going to do a race against Jose Aldo, let's say it's a 20-mile race or something, and he's already a mile, 2 miles away from us. If I want to catch Jose, or I think it's Jose, right? I'm just going to say Jose. It's easier for me, right? We'll call him Mr. Aldo, right? If I'm going to catch Aldo, and he's already 2 miles ahead of me, am I going to run at his same pace, or am I going to run faster pace? Common sense things, we got to run at a faster pace. So if Jose Aldo is doing 5 hours a day of training, you better be doing at least 5.5 hours a day of training. If Jose Aldo is giving himself 8 out of 10 effort in training, then you need to give yourself at least a 9 out of 10 effort in training, just so you can start catching up to him. Just because you start training longer and harder than him doesn't mean you're going to be better than him right now, because he has a huge head start. You got to stay focused on your goals and keep grinding that way the whole time. Now, if you see Jose Aldo all of a sudden take a break, like Thanksgiving comes around and he stops the race to sit down and eat a turkey, are you going to stop the race as well? See, to me, when I was a competitor, my favorite days to train were Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. To the point that out of tradition, since I was doing it for so long, even though I'm not actively training, I always do my New Year's run that you guys see on YouTube. Because my theory in the New Year's run is that right when they say Happy New Year, I give everyone a kiss and I go out the door running. And I know for a fact that that exact moment, everybody else is drinking right now. And I'm running. I got a head start on everybody. For that year, I have the head start. From that point on, everyone's playing catch up to me. And I can let go of the lead if I want or keep the lead. That's the way you need to think of everything. Okay? When they stop, you go. Now, why do you have to stop? Just because everyone else does. Oh, it's Thanksgiving. You're supposed to rest, be with your family. It's not. That's a 97% thing. Who made that rule? Who said that on holidays you're supposed to stop what you're doing? Because if you don't, you lost touch of your family, lost touch of this. Lost touch. Who created that rule? It's a 97% rule. Okay, that's what I mean by 97% versus 3%. You want to catch that guy, run him down like a dog, and then pass him. You got to outwork him. You got to outdesire him. You got to do everything more than that person. It's a race, and they're ahead of you right now. You cannot be content with running the same pace as him or with taking the same breaks as him. Every day you're getting one day closer to either quitting or getting your black belt. Think about that. Life is a hill, and you have rollerblades. Either you're rolling up the hill or you're sliding down the hill. There's no staying still. If your goal is to be a black belt, and today you did nothing, you didn't just stay stagnant, because unfortunately we're all getting closer to dying. Every day we're one day closer to dying. Okay? And although you don't think about it, it's happening. So if you did nothing, you had a little bit less time now, and you just got a little older and a little slower. So if you find yourself, if your goal is to be black belt and you're going to bed and you realize you haven't done anything, get out of bed and do 50 push-ups. And albeit it's a small effort, it's a tiny step up the hill. Because you did 50 push-ups. Are you going down the hill or up the hill? You're going up the hill. It's a small step. You're going up the hill. But enough steps adds up to miles. So just think about that mantra. Before you go to bed every night, just think to yourself, am I one day closer or further from my ultimate goal? Written goals. Oh my God, no one writes their goals down. And they've done so many studies on this, it's ridiculous. They did a study in Harvard where they got all the top MBAs in Harvard. I'm talking about, this is Harvard, this is not like a community college. Okay? These guys are already sharp to begin with. To get into Harvard, it's very difficult. And they had them all, the graduating class, they did a poll and they interviewed them all. And they said something, and this is, you can look this up, I'm not making this up, but only 3% of the people had their goals written down. And I'm laughing, and the reason why I said look it up, because what a coincidence, right? 3%, I'm telling you that's a natural ratio. So only 3% of the people had their goals written down. So then they came back 20 years later and interviewed all those people. And the top 3% was making more money than the entire bottom 97% combined. So that 3% that wrote their goals was making more money than the other 97% combined and didn't write their goals down. So in Syracuse, thought that this was they wanted to repeat the experiment. So in the 70s, they repeated the experiment, and it was about the same. It was like 3.2% or 2.7%. It was basically about 3% of the people wrote their goals down. And again, 20 years later, that 3% outperformed the entire other 97%. Just writing your goals down drastically improves the chances of you being a success. Write them down. Look, you can nod your head up and down and agree with what I'm saying. That's great. But it ain't going to do shit unless you actually do it. You got to get a pen and paper and write them down. Don't do them right now because you're not going to be able to listen to the rest of my message. But as soon as I'm done with this video, I want you to write these goals down. Not tomorrow. Right today. Today's will be a life-changing day for some of you guys. I told you some of you guys won't sleep tonight. Today, after this webinar, I want you to write down your goals. And I want you to write down these goals. Are you ready? I want you to write down your lifetime goals, your 4-year goals, your 3-year goals, your 2-year goals, your 1-year goals, then 9 months, 6 months, 3 months, and 1 month goals. So it's lifetime, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, 9 months, 6 months, 3 months, monthly. Now, if you are a hardcore person, then every Sunday night, you'll write out 40-hour goals and 1-week goals. So every Sunday night, you set a goal that you want to do within the next 2 days. That gets you closer to your monthly goals. Now, if you're an athlete, don't make a 40-hour goal like improve my mile time by 1 minute. That's not realistic. A 40-hour goal could be something as simple as doing 20 push-ups. Because those are 20 extra push-ups you normally wouldn't have done. So just think of it that way with the 40-hour goals. Now, I want you to do this. Thomas Edison had a thing he liked to do. It's kind of like burning the boats. Now that I think about it. When he had an idea for an amazing invention, like let's say he wanted to invent like an automated vacuum cleaner or something, he would first, before even trying to draw up plans or anything, he would hold a press conference and announce that in 6 months from now, we're gonna sell the automated vacuum cleaner. It's an amazing invention. Look, it's great. We're just testing it out right now. We're gonna release it in 6 months. And what happened is that now the pressure's on. He can't just pretend that he never thought of this invention. Now that pressure's on, he has to deliver this vacuum cleaner. I can be that pressure for you. If you want somebody to hold you accountable, write your goals down and email them to me. Marcos@ffagyms.com. I'm going to put my email later. Or message it to me on Facebook. I'm not going to share it with anybody. I'm just going to get it and hide it in my email folder. I'm going to come back a year from now and follow up on it. Or 6 months from now and follow up on it. But you know that someone out there heard your little challenge of what you're going to do. And it's going to make you push yourself. So you can't just say, oh, I'll do it later. Trust me, this is a big tool. You know who does this for me? Lloyd Irvin. But ours is a little different. We do it with money. I tell Lloyd, if I don't have this done by this date, I owe you $1,000. And if I don't have it by that date, I write him a check for $1,000. And you know how many times I've written him a check for $1,000? Never. In other words, it always gets done. All right? And that's the point. Does that take balls? Yes. I once did a challenge with Lloyd where I'd write a blog post every day for 1 year. And if I didn't have the blog post by 12 a.m., I would owe him $2,500. I was so mortified that every day I made sure to write that blog post. And because of it, it's a long story, but I enjoyed a lot of revenue from it. Okay, it was a huge marketing success. I signed up a lot of students from that blog. Okay, lots of new people that joined my team. Matter of fact, one of my purple belts was a result from that blog. And why? Because I put the pressure on. Had I not put that $2,500 deadline on my head, I would say kind of like burning the boats. If I would have had a day where, like, you know, I don't know, I had a big party or UFC party or something, I'll do it later. I did something similar with a push-up challenge once. I once videotaped myself every day doing 50 push-ups a day for 1 month. And the idea was, you know, to get back in shape and stuff. And what I did was I said, if I don't have it by 12 a.m. on YouTube, I'll pay $1,000 out. And I was doing the challenge with a couple of students. My daughter was born, and in the hospital with my scrubs, I did my 50 push-ups, got the video, gave it to my brother, had him upload it from his laptop. Okay, because you know why? Because I didn't want to pay $1,000. Okay, if I didn't have that deadline, it would have been way too easy to say, oh, but today's my kid. And the results were given to me. You understand what I'm saying? So written goals, huge, and accountability for those goals, just as big. Now 5, I sought knowledge and found a mentor. I recognized that what I was doing wasn't working. You need to recognize, are you on a path to becoming world champion if you're a fighter? Or are you on a path to become good? There's a difference between good and world champion. Are you with the right team to make you a world champion? Okay. If you are a gym owner, are you in the right, what you're doing right now working? Because don't think it's just going to happen like, oh, I just hang out enough, it's going to work. No, you can get a plastic knife and try all you want to cut down a sequoia. It's not going to come down. Okay? You need the right tools. You need a chainsaw to take that thing down. Well, if you don't have a chainsaw, you're not going to magically develop one. You need to find the knowledge. Trust me, I worked over 60 hours a week for 4 or 5 years, and nothing came about of it. Just more and more stress. You know if what you're doing is not working. You know that. So you need to find a mentor. When the opportunity seemed to have fallen in my lap, I jumped on it so many times. And I get frustrated thinking about it because I care. Okay? And so many times, I've given people the most crazy opportunities. I've given people opportunities to be my personal intern, like to follow me around everywhere I go as an assistant so they can see how I do everything and teach them how I do every single part of the business. And they turned it down. This has happened to me like 3 or 4 times. Like people will start it up with it and either flat out refuse it, or like 2 weeks into it, just say, oh man, I can't do this. Like it's too much, So it's like, in my mind, they just blew the opportunity of the century. In their mind, they don't see it that way. Like when they're at their deathbed, if they didn't accomplish what they wanted to in their life, they're not gonna look back and go, oh man, I messed up. I should have done that internship. They don't even recognize they had an opportunity. They'll just go, oh man, Marco's so lucky that he has such a big school. What a lucky guy. They don't realize the opportunity was there and they let it go through. All right? When the opportunity was there, I jumped on it. Look, I'm proud of you right now. And I'm going to know who you are because I'm going to look at the reports afterwards and I'm going to see the names of everyone that's on here. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm proud that you're on this webinar. I showed this webinar to my own guys, okay? Think about this. I have instructors that are like working, bottom end, like they're doing beginner classes and stuff. And I sent them this webinar about a week ago and said, guys, in a week, I'm going to show you how I did everything, how I became the owner of this gym that you work at, and how you can do it. And then today, I sent out like a reminder email on Facebook, like, hey guys, don't forget, today's the webinar. And I already got excuses like, oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do that. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, if you had cancer, and I told you I have the cure right here, but I'm only going to be here with the cure from 6 p.m. to 7:30, and you're going to tell me, oh, man, you know what? I got to do this thing with my family that time. Bro, I'll see if I can catch it another time. Oh, bro, I got to go to church at this time, but I'll catch it another time. Dude, it's the cure to cancer, and you have cancer. You pick it up now. You don't pick it up ever. It's like this joke they have in Venezuela. They say there's a Venezuelan guy that was poor, and he got a ticket to the U.S., and they were telling him, man, when you get to the U.S., you don't understand. There's so much money. Like, it's literally on the streets. So this Venezuelan guy gets to the airport in Miami. The doors open, and right when he opens the doors, he sees a $100 bill on the floor. And he looks at the $100 bill, and he stretches his back, and he goes, you know what? My back's kind of sore from that flight. I'll start picking up the money tomorrow. That's what 97% of people do. They pick up the money tomorrow. Okay? Don't be a 97%er, man. Okay? Why are we 97%ers? We all start out as 97%ers. There's very few natural-born leaders. Very few. I was not one of them. Okay? I was a 97%er. I still have, if no one believes me, I'll freaking scan it and put it on here. I still have my journal with my goals and stuff, because I'm repeating to you what Master Lloyd taught me. Okay? And he asked me to write down my lifetime goal, my 4-year goal, my 3-year goal. My lifetime goal was to have 250 students and to be making $60,000 a year. And you may laugh and go, what the heck is that? But you have to understand, back then I was 5 years working with no money. And the thought that I could make the amount of money an engineer makes, making 60 grand a year, doing what I love, oh my God, it's a fantasy. Yeah, it's my lifetime goal. Keep in mind, this gym easily grosses over 100 grand a month now. But somewhere along the line, I had to change my mentality. Say, somewhere along the line, I had to change that $60,000 a year was not what I wanted. That what I want is $10 million a year. You know, so like somewhere along the line, something had to change. Okay, I had to change from a 97%er to a 3%er. I had to become like those top 3% that everyone hates. I used to hate them too. When I used to be in a car, well, let me continue later. I'm hitting points that I have later in my presentation, all right? So let's continue about seeking knowledge and finding a mentor. The story of Edwin Barnes, I already talked about him. Edwin Barnes knew he needed a mentor, and who was it? Thomas Edison. Where was Thomas Edison? In Jersey. Did he go, oh, it's too far away? Or, oh, I'm going to have to leave everything behind and go to Jersey. Oh, I can't afford to travel to Jersey. I don't know anyone there. No. He manned up, got the money for the ticket, went over there with nothing but the clothes on his back, and made it happen. You know, if you think to yourself, you know who are mentors out there that you could find. And if you don't know, start looking. And when you find who you think it should be, get to that person. Don't give me freaking excuses about, oh, I got my wife and kid, you know, we can't all just get up and move. Oh, I got this, I got that. Oh, you know, I don't know anyone there. I need money. I can't. I need a job, or my current job is a lot of stability. If that's you, then that's cool, man. That's cool. But don't be talking shit about being a world champ, about becoming a financially independent, and all that stuff. You know, just recognize, you know, hey, you're happy with what you got. Because I got a pet peeve, man. My pet peeve is people that hit me up and say things to me like, oh, I want to have a school like yours, you know, and then I'll offer them an opportunity to work here. Like, okay, you want to teach, you know, Monday, Wednesday. Oh, yeah, but that's the thing. I work from that time, and yeah, I bust tables for that time. I can't do that, you know. Or oh, that day at church, man. I'm sorry, you know, can't do that. Oh no, I got to pick up my girlfriend in that time period. She works and she don't have a car, so I got to pick her up at that time. Or this one, I'll have transportation to get there. I'm sorry, man. Like, that's a bad time for me. I can do it later, you know. In other words, you don't really want to have what I have. If you want to have what I have, you got to do it this way. Not working 2 jobs and thinking you're going to all of a sudden blow up and have your own school. Is it scary? Yes, it's scary. I'm not going to lie to you. I never said it was easy. I promise you today I would show you how I did it. I didn't say it was going to be easy. Okay? Will it work? Yes, it'll work. Is it scary as hell? Yes, it is. Luck. When circumstance meets preparation. Have you ever heard people say, like, oh man, like I got a lucky armbar in a fight? Well, let me tell you this, man. What that was a circumstance. It was an opportunity that was available. The other guy was better than him, but there was a moment that he left his arm out. And this other guy had been drilling the armbar over and over and over. So when the arm was there, he took it and he won. If you get a bum from the pool hall and put that same position, he would never armbar the other guy because he didn't even know how to do an armbar. Luck is when circumstance meets preparation. If you're prepared mentally to find a mentor, when the opportunity comes up that someone says, hey, do you want to go for dinner? You'll take it. But if you don't recognize that you need a mentor, you can have someone like Lloyd say, hey, you want to go for dinner? You say, bro, I already ate. You laugh. But that kind of shit happens. I'm telling you, because when I first got back from Lloyd, I used to be like on this mission to convert all my friends. I wanted everybody to succeed with me. I wanted everybody to be a 3%er. And I couldn't believe the amount of people that were not only shutting me down, but they were straight up offended. That's why I said in the beginning of the presentation, some of you guys would be offended. People were straight up offended. They want to hear it. I traveled across the country to meet with Lloyd and did everything I could to earn my position as a student of his. I didn't say to myself like, oh man, that guy's far away, I don't have money. Man, I just did what I had to do. And I would go out there do everything I could to gain his respect, did everything the way he wanted it to be done, you know, and earned his and just paid my dues, like Barnes. Barnes, you know, he spent, well, that's the next slide, I think. I stuck to my mentor like crazy glue. I didn't entertain the idea of picking up other mentors. Look, man, is there only one way of doing stuff? No. I noticed I'm very careful in my wording. I didn't say this is the only way to do it. I said this is a way it's done. Okay? And will it work over and over? Yes. But if you're going to go and get tips from one person and then tips from another person, what works in one recipe and works in a separate recipe together can be complete crap. It's like salt tastes delicious on eggs and sugar tastes great on cupcakes. But if you get salt and sugar and put it on a pizza, you're probably going to screw the pizza up. You know, you can't mix ingredients just because they work in separate recipes. You got to stick to one recipe until you get it down. Once you become a success doing it the mentor's way, then yeah, if you want to go and learn another way of doing it or try to innovate your own way by incorporating other techniques, go for it. It's like if let's say you wanted to make your favorite cheesecake from Cheesecake Factory. My favorite is a dulce de leche cheesecake. I love that cheesecake. So if I wanted to make it, and I got the recipe in front of me, and it says 2 cups flour, 1 cup sugar, and 3 eggs. So if it says 2 cups flour, 1 cup sugar, and 3 eggs, and I put 1 cup flour, 2 cups sugar, and 1 egg, am I going to get the same cheesecake? No. It's that simple. You put the same recipe, the same amount of cups, the same amount of everything, cook at the same temperature, you're going to get the same cheesecake. There's no luck involved. You're not going to go, oh, let me cross my fingers. I did everything the guy said, and maybe it'll work. You know, maybe I'll get the same cheesecake. No, you're going to get the same cheesecake. Okay? But you got to stick to the recipe. What happens to everybody is that they start thinking, man, 2 cups flour, that's a little too much. I know it says that, but I'm going to put 1.5 cups of flour. Oh, you know what? It needs a little more sugar. This guy is, I'll put a little more sugar. That's what everyone does with training. You know how many times I tell people I need you to come 2 times a day, 5 days a week, and Saturday. And then they come 2 times a week every other day. You know? Like they think that 2 times a day, every other day. And they think that it's not a big deal. They're still training a lot. No, you son of a bitch. I said twice a day, 5 days a week, and once on Saturday. Okay, that is the recipe. They start changing the recipe. I tell them to come to class, and instead of coming to class, they're on the side doing like their own little strength and conditioning routine. You are screwing up the recipe. Okay? Follow the ways of the mentor. I'm teaching people how to fight and how to grapple the way I do it, and it works. I've gone to Abu Dhabi. My brother went to Abu Dhabi 4 times. I've sent Enrico to Abu Dhabi. You know, I know how to produce Abu Dhabi athletes. My wife went to Abu Dhabi. Okay? I know what it takes to send people to Abu Dhabi. So if you want to go to Abu Dhabi, and I'm telling you, you need to do this, and you do something different, you might as well not even train under me. So the idea of trying to learn, like I said, there's many ways of doing things, but the idea of trying to learn from one gym and another gym and another gym, you're mixing recipes. First, master one guy's recipe. Once you master that instructor and you feel like you've got what he has to offer you, then yeah, go ahead and entertain switching and stuff. Me personally, you know, I stick with my instructor till I feel that I've gotten the results that I know he can give me. Like if there's like a guy like say Lloyd, for instance. Lloyd's already produced world champions in jiu-jitsu. So if I train jiu-jitsu with Lloyd, until I become a world champion with his method, it seems kind of silly to jump ship before that. It's the same thing, okay? Stick to your mentors like crazy glue. It makes no sense to take the cheesecake out of the oven before the cheesecake's ready. I didn't let alternate methods that contradicted my mentor's ways distract me, okay? I don't know if you guys can hear right now, but there's a lot of background noise because there's I came upstairs to the gym to do this webinar because I thought it'd be nice and quiet in my house. I had my kid and stuff, and it turns out that right outside they're having a party. So I'm sorry about the background noise. Hopefully they'll leave soon, but we'll just keep going. So I didn't let alternate methods that contradicted my mentor's ways distract me. A lot of people were coming around trying to tell me about different ways of doing things. Like when I set up my website, oh my God, because my website is a very controversial website in the marketing world. It breaks a lot of the rules of marketing. So when I made this website, a lot of people were coming up to me, oh man, the website looks cheesy. You need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this. And bro, people coming to me that are experts. Oh, I'm an expert. I'm this, I'm that. And all these people were trying to get me to change little things about my website. And you know what I did? I said, hey man, that's great. I respect what you're doing. I understand what the argument you just made makes a lot of sense, but I'm doing it this way. I had blinders on, and I just did everything Lloyd told me. I had people criticize me on the internet, like haters on the internet, saying I was a puppet of Lloyd. Damn right. That's the best description you could have. I was a straight up puppet. If Lloyd said move right, I moved right. He said move left, I moved left. I did everything he said so I can get the results that he produces for himself. And guess what? It's working, okay? You know what it feels like, man, to have what I have right now? It's amazing. Do you know what it's like to own a $1 million business, like from being dead ass broke? Now I start tweaking little things here and there, adding my own twist to the recipe, because now I feel like I have a good understanding of how to make dulce de leche cheesecake. But until you pull out a dulce de leche cheesecake, follow the recipe to the T. That's my biggest advice. This sounds common sense, but I'm telling you right now, I've taken people in, I've told them, look, you got to do 30 days free, and they come back and they're doing 14 days free. I said, what the fuck is this? Oh, 14 days free, because, 2 weeks, 1 month, we'll do 2 weeks first and see what it's like. No, man, it's 30 days free. It's not 14 days free. Same thing with training, man. So many times I'll create regimens for people. I'll come back and they're tweaking it. And then I had the same reaction. What the fuck is this, Oh, no, because, we're doing this little thing here, make it a little different because, my ankles are a little sore, so I'm doing this. And like, whenever you got to stick to the recipe. That's why you got to find the right mentor. Now, I'm not telling you that your mentors are gods and that everything they say is right. I'm sure Lloyd makes mistakes. I'm not telling you everything that Lloyd says is right. But if I knew what part of what Lloyd was doing was right or wrong, then I wouldn't need Lloyd. Like if Lloyd told me, Marcos, put 30 days free on your website, make the font red, and make the font size, 14 point. If I were to go, but red, is red a bad color or a good color? Like if I knew what he was doing, that was right or wrong from what he was doing, I wouldn't need him. It makes no sense. So since I don't know what's right, because if I knew what to do, I would be rich, right? This is before I met Lloyd, right? So before I met Lloyd, if I didn't know what to do, I would have been rich. I wouldn't have been broke, right? So I know shit, and you have to accept that. If you're in a position right now that you don't know anything, you have to accept that. You can't come in there like with this mentality. That's Socrates. Okay, Socrates said that the first step to learning is admitting ignorance. You gotta know when you know nothing. How can you learn, something that you already know? Have you ever tried to teach somebody how to do an armbar that thinks they already know how to do an armbar? It's the most frustrating, stupidest thing in the world. It's the same thing with everything else. Okay? If you go to somebody and they're trying to teach you how to become a champion and you think you already know how to do it, then it's a pointless thing. He can't teach you. You're uncoachable. Okay? Don't be uncoachable. Now, back to the point I was making. Is Lloyd always going to be right? No. But is Lloyd going to be more right than I am? Yes. And since I can't differentiate when he's right or wrong, just by sticking what he says, I'm going to have a better batting average. Before Lloyd, my batting average was terrible. Okay? Lloyd's batting average was through the roof. If I just swing when he says swing, okay? Yes, there'll be times when he tells me to swing and it's not the right time to swing. But just by swinging when he says swing, I'm going to have the same batting average as him. And that's the goal. So if you find a mentor that has produced champions as a proven recipe, then just do what he says and you get the same result. So many times, man, it's a big frustration of mine. I've only have a few people under me that actually follow what I say, and they've gotten great results. One of them's Kevin Perez. Another one's Jason Suarez. Another one coming up right now, Devin Genshi. These guys, they're following the recipes to a T, and they're getting the results. And everyone gets jealous of them and stuff. But I've offered them the same stuff, but they tweak. Don't tweak. I hope I beat this enough. I know I'm overdoing this. I know some of you guys are like, oh man, I already got the point. But I have to make this a point because some of you guys need to understand this. Okay? Do as they say. If Lloyd called me tomorrow and said wear a skirt to do your sales presentation, I'll put a goddamn skirt on. Because guess what? That guy's right most of the time. And He's making a lot more money. He's got fighters in the UFC right now. Okay, he has a world champion UFC fighter in Dominic Cruz under his wing. If I can get results like him, that's what I'm looking for. That's why he's my mentor. Okay. I stayed humble and kept an empty cup. In other words, I always admitted ignorance. Whenever I go to a mentor of mine, whether it be Lloyd for business or when I go train under somebody, like when I went to Thailand and did kickboxing there, I went to Cuba and boxed there, or my brother when my brother coaches me. Look, my brother coaches me. When my brother coaches me, I always approach him as a white belt, like empty cup. So when he teaches me stuff, I don't go, yeah, but you can't do that, or oh, that's different what I always do, you know. Embrace it. Like I said, the first step to learning is remaining ignorance. Embrace it fully. And once you've learned it and understand it, now you can make your analysis. Is this better than what you were doing before? Don't start judging the knowledge as it's coming in. That's why you can't just pick any asshole to be your mentor. You got to do your research first. Do your research first. Decide who you want to be a mentor. And then once you make a decision, remember that first step, make a decision. Once you make a decision and pick him as a mentor, follow him till you get the result. Follow him to the death. That's why it's very important you make the right choice in a mentor, because you can't back out. You got to burn your boats and meet that mentor. Burn the boats, meet the mentor, and go guns blazing. There's no backing out once you pick that mentor. So make sure you carefully. A lot of you guys have mentors right now, but you didn't really pick them. They just kind of like, there were people that are close to your house or just happened to know someone that knew someone. Right now, pick a mentor. And when you pick that mentor, stick to him like glue. I travel across the country to visit Lloyd very often. I keep as much communication with him that he would allow. Man, if Lloyd would let me talk to him 4 hours a day, I'd talk to him 4 hours a day. You know, I'll take whatever Lloyd gives me. I implemented everything and waited my turn. I kept a white belt mentality. I never questioned his advice. You know, I never go, but Lloyd, you know, I listen to what he says and I just do it. Lloyd says right, I go right. He says left, I go left. And by doing all his stuff, I start to learn the reason why he does everything. I don't question it. Like if he says, hey, say this, I just say it. And then after I say it and I see the results, I go, oh. And sometimes I'll ask him, but not in a challenging sort of way, but more in a curious way. Like I believe it, you know, like, hey, Lloyd, you say put a dress on it. Why is that? I'm interested, you know, right? I've never put a dress. He never asked me that. I'm just sticking to that original story. But, you know, I never ask like in a questioning, like in a challenging way, because I embrace everything he tells me, like if it's word from the Almighty, like this is going to work. That's called faith. And in Think and Grow Rich, I talk about faith a lot. Having faith in your mentors, having faith in yourself. Okay, so I believe in what he tells me, and I do it blindly. Put my head down and go. And that's how I am when I'm being coached. That's why whenever I go somewhere, you can ask my guys. When I go to other gyms and I train in other gyms, the instructors tend to gravitate towards me because I always keep that white belt mentality. And whatever they tell me, I'm like, yes sir, no sir. And I don't. Once I'm in a classroom setting, the guy can be a blue belt instructor and I'm a black belt. And when he starts teaching, yes sir, no sir, and I do everything 100% the way he says it. And once I get out of the class and I've already had the knowledge, I can start judging things. But if you cannot judge while you're trying to learn something, make sense? I stayed patient, like Barnes. Barnes waited his turn. Barnes sat there 4, 5 years and waited his turn. I implemented the new habits that were required of me. Lloyd said, I need you to be like this, I need you to do that, I need you to do this, I need you to read that. I did everything he told me to do. So I did everything he said, I waited my turn. And now, some of you guys I know, I'm in his consulting business. He has a martial arts consulting business. I might as well put a website out, www.mmamillionaires.com. That's for business owners. If you're a fighter, don't bother. That's a business owner thing. It's for gym owners. And I'm one of the head guys of the organization. And yeah, I'm making a lot of money through the organization. So it's like I was involved with Lloyd for years, and I would do a lot of stuff helping him out, completely, pro bono, free, helping him out for his guys and training people and stuff. And I was waiting my turn, and eventually it came. Eventually, he said, "Hey, Marvelous, you want to be a consultant here with this business I'm doing?" And it's working out really good. So if you have a mentor, wait your turn. I love it when some people get inspired and they come up to me and they're like, Master Margo, I want to talk to him. Like, sure, what's up? I go, listen, I've decided that I want to do this for my livelihood, and this is the most important thing to me in my life. And they give me this huge, passionate speech. And then they sit there with this face, like thinking that because of this great speech, I'm going to make him like vice president of the freaking school. Like, okay, good. I'm going to fire my manager right now and hire you. It doesn't work that way. The speeches are appreciated, don't get me wrong, but they almost mean nothing at this point, simply because I've been on that end so many times and seen how people just drop out, okay, because no one's willing to follow, I think, step number 3 we have here, which is endure pain, okay? You have to stay the course and wait. George Ayala, one of my instructors here, phenomenal. But as you guys know him, okay, when George joined my school, he was a very overweight guy, an obese guy, and he's lost a lot of weight. But he's still overweight. He's still what you would consider a fat guy, okay? And when George was coming up, he wanted to teach. And for those of you guys that don't know George, he's a magnificent personality, incredible human being, full of energy, passionate, motivational, okay, and loves martial arts. But I have tons of people that want to teach in my gym, and I looked at him, and he was a blue belt, he was overweight, and he wasn't the most athletic guy I had either. Like, one thing is if he was overweight, but he was like a monster and killing everyone on the mats. That wasn't really him either, you know? So he was nagging about teaching, and eventually I go, you know what? Give him an internship position, assisting classes at 12:30 in the morning. Because remember, we're open 24 hours. So George started assisting classes. And he was assisting the 12:30 in the morning and the 9:45 p.m. classes, the graveyard classes. And he was doing this completely for free, internship. And about 6 months, maybe even longer, I think I would say almost a year into his internship, I was getting great reviews about him. People loved him. He had like a little like fan club at the school. And eventually I had to fire somebody. I fired my 12:30 a.m. guy. He was, I think, smoking weed or doing something stupid. Fired him. I don't tolerate any of that stuff, by the way. So I fired him. When I fired him, I need to put someone else in there now. And I go, you know what? What the heck, man? Let's give the fat guy a chance, right? So I gave Coach George the 12:30 a.m. class twice a week at $25 an hour. A few months go by. I'm hearing a commotion. I'm like, what's going on? So I was at the, people were telling me, have you heard about George's class? So one day I decided to swim by at 1 in the morning to see the class. And I was so shocked. With the previous instructor, that class averaged about 4 people a class. I walked in, I had put the video on YouTube if you don't believe me. It was like 20 people at 12:30 in the morning. So at 1 in the morning when I walked in, it was like 20 people training with George. So then I said, you know what, let me give him the 9:45 class. So I fired the 9:45 instructor, put George in. Then I gave him 8:30. Then I gave him the double 8:30s because we had the Tuesday, Thursday 8:30 and a Monday, Wednesday. So at this point now, George is like the full-time beginner coach. Then I fired the manager in our Davies school. And I said, you know what? I'm going to put George in there to be the manager. And I put him as manager of the Davies school. Now the Davies school is starting to take off. It went from being like losing money to now making money. He has like 150 students in there right now. It's a small school. It's brand new. So now, when that school becomes as big as Miami, because George is following my recipe, and he has 1,000 people in that school, and George is making 6 figures a year, people are going to look at him and say, what a lucky bastard. That's the fact. They're going to look at George and say, what a lucky kiss ass. And the reality is that George knew what he wanted. He followed the formula we're talking about. He made a decision. He found a mentor. He waited his turn. He endured pain. I don't have the notes in front of me, but follow the exact order. Okay? He did all those steps. You know what? Let's go back, man. I want to see this. Okay? He made a decision. He burned his boats because he was working at. Okay, we're going to analyze George now. George was working as a manager at Jamba Juice, and when he got the instructor job, even though Jamba Juice was paying him more because he was only teaching twice a week, He wanted to dedicate fully to the instructor job, so he quit his job at Jamba Juice, which was secure and all that stuff. He was manager there for years, and he quit the job. He made sacrifices big time, and he still is, because he's driving 45 minutes to Davie to be the manager there. And then, so the guy's making sacrifices, and he's been staying focused on his goals. He's got lots of people telling him that he should never left Jamba Juice, and that he should go back to school and do all that stuff. You know how everyone has their advice. He sought knowledge, found it from me, and has a mentor. And he sticks to me like crazy glue. I can't get George off of me, okay? And he's been implementing everything I've been saying and waiting his turn. And he waited and waited and waited. And guess what? His turn came. And now he's the manager at his own gym. That's going to be a big, big thing. Now, waiting for my turn, I ignored everyone else. It's about 97 versus 3%, guys. 97%. Look, there's a story about crabs. They say, I've never done this, but a lot of people have done it and swear to me by it, that if you have a bucket and you put one crab, the crab will climb out of the bucket every time. But if you put more than one crab in there, they'll never escape. Because what happens is, every time one crab has to get out, the other crab from the bottom grabs that one, pulls him down, and tries to climb over him. And then the next one behind him grabs that one and pulls him down, tries to climb over him. It's like a never-ending cycle. 97%ers try to pull down 3%ers. My inner circle was my team. I have my inner circle of people. I should have drawn a chart out, but I have different rings of trust, if you will, kind of like meet the fuckers, right? my circle of trust, right? I have different circles. Like my innermost circle is known. Okay, it's my obviously my family. When I say my family, I mean my wife, my brother, and my parents. I don't give a part of my language. I know I'm cursing a little bit, but the AC is broken where I'm at right now, and I'm sweating like a pig, so my blood's a little hot. But I don't give a shit about any of my cousins, aunts, uncles. It doesn't matter to me. Okay, right? But my inner circle is my mom, my dad, my brother, my wife, and my children. And my mom-in-law, my dad-in-law, and my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law. Like the direct family unit. In the next ring is Master Lloyd, Jason, Devin, Kevin, Che, George. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. No, I think that's it. Yeah. Okay? That's my next ring. The ring after that is my pro fighters, my highest color belts, my instructors, and I have this drawn out on an actual piece of paper. Because in the next ring, it actually goes like this. Inner ring family. Second ring is the little nucleus I mentioned to you of Jason, Devin, those guys. The next ring are my instructors. The next ring is my actual staff, like the front desk, all those guys. The next ring are all my color belts with the highest belt rank being a priority, like my black belts, brown belts, purple belts, brown belts, white belts. And then the last ring are my intro students. Now the way it works is that if I could have only 1 hour to spend with somebody, am I going to give that hour to an introductory student, or I give that hour to Coach George? I'm going to give it to Coach George. If I had unlimited time and a way of replicating myself, and I never got older, I was immortal, if time was able to be frozen, I would give my time to everybody. Look, I'm giving you my time right now. Okay, I'm away from my family right now. My wife's pregnant with twins. Okay? I'm over here. Okay, it is important to me. I do want to help people. But at the end of the day, there's only so much help I can give out. So all those guys I told you about, my inner circle, they're actually on this webinar right now. Because my rule is this. I will give time to people in the outer rings once I've given that same amount of time to everybody in the inner rings. So let's say I want to help out, spend an hour with one of my white belts. I'm going to make sure that before I spend an hour with that white belt, that everyone in my inner ring got an hour, that my family got an hour, that my black belts, brown belts, purple belts, and blue belts got an hour. Then I'll give one to the white belt. Because in many ways, those blue belts, purple belts, brown belts, and black belts, they deserve the time before them. They made the sacrifices and endured that pain and suffering to get to where they're at, and they deserve the time before the white belts. So the $1 million question is, how much time do you think I dedicate to the intro students? None. I don't have enough time. That's why the beginner coaches take care of the intro students. Once they prove themselves and become a white belt and come into my combat athlete program, then it's when they deal with me. And in the combat athlete program, I give attention to everybody. I spend all day focusing on my students. But I do give the preferential treatment to those that have made the sacrifices. So you need to know what your rings are like. Because a lot of you guys, your rings are all fucked up. I'll tell you straight up. A lot of you guys will hang out with friends because they're funny, or because you guys grew up together, or because you know, he's your cousin. So because he's your cousin, you got to hang out with him. You know, like, you don't understand. Your time is so valuable, and everyone you're with is a reflection of you. You are the average of the top 5 people you hang out with the most. That's undeniable. If you hang out with fighters all day, you're gonna fight. It's gonna become natural. You're gonna do it. If all day you hang around people that hunt, eventually you're gonna hunt. You know, if all day you hang around losers, you're gonna be a loser. That's the truth. If you were to hang out with me, Lloyd, and 3 other successful guys, I guarantee you, with time, you can become successful. And you will lower us down a little bit. That's just the way it is. You know, I'm willing to invest my time and lower myself a little bit for guys like Jason, Devin, and stuff, because I'm investing. Because I know that they're going to become champions like me. They're going to become champion gym owners. And then I'm going to have nice elbows to rub with. But that's a whole, you know, I recognize what they got, and I'm putting myself to teach them. You need to understand, guys, you cannot be around people that are 97%ers and expect to be a 3%er. If an eagle if an eagle egg was taken out of a nest and put into a chicken coop, when that eagle was born, it will sit there and move like a chicken, eat like a chicken, cluck like a chicken, and one day the eagle will look up at the sky and see the eagles flying and go, wow, it would be so cool if I could fly. Because you've been raised like a chicken. Okay? You gotta right now decide who you should be hanging out with and who you shouldn't be hanging out with. I did this and I cut out so many of my friends, it was ridiculous. And people to this day, oh, what a sellout, what a this, what a that. You live once. There's no do-overs. There's no second life. You can't go back and do this again later. And if you have a friend that all he wants to do is smoke weed or drink or just hang out or talk about the movies or just complain. Oh, people love to complain, just whine about things. You know, that's a waste of your time. The race they're running, the guys are ahead of you. People are running right now. You want to catch him, you need to run faster than him. You can't sit around stagnant talking about bullshit, talking about what movies came out and what you can do this weekend. It's not. Man, if you have a serious goal of becoming world champ, if you have a serious goal of becoming a millionaire, having your own school, doing these things, everything needs to be about that. If you want to be a world champ in the UFC, everything needs to be about the UFC. Your friends need to be about the UFC. Your coach needs to be about the UFC. Everything needs to be about the UFC. Now, that is what I'm saying with the circles and the rings. You need to know where your time should be. If all day you're hanging out with your cousins and stuff and they want nothing to do with the UFC, and you're only spending a small portion of your day with your teammates that want to be UFC fighters, you're doing it all wrong. That's why I don't hang out with my cousins. I don't hang out with my uncles. I don't hang out with my aunts. I hang out with my boys in the gym because we're all like-minded. We all have the same goals. We're all like group focused. Okay, we're all pushing down for the same thing. Now is when I have to introduce someone special in your career, the hater. Let's talk about this. The hater is eminent. Now, don't hate the hater. People that hate, they don't do it anything personal to you. They do it as a defense mechanism. You have to understand that what happens with hating is this. Right now, as I talk to you guys, I have like a little feud going on with some of my cousins. That's why I keep talking about cousins, right? They're apparently all pissed at me about something. I don't know. And the fact is I never talk to them. I never call them. I never email them, whatever. And they're just upset about something about what I'm naming my kids. I'm actually naming one of my boys after Master Lloyd Irvin. His name's going to be Lloyd Avalon. And I come from a Hispanic heritage. I'm not Hispanic. I'm 100% American. But both my parents are Hispanic. They come from Venezuela and Peru, and so a lot of my cousins are upset about the name Lloyd. Like, it should be, I don't know what they want me to name him, Jose or something. But point is, one of them was like, man, why are you naming after somebody? That's putting him in a box. Didn't you say that you're to homeschool your daughter to put her outside the box? And it's not. I never in my life told any of these people any reason why I'm homeschooling my kids. I've never even told them like, it's not like I was at a party and go, hey, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to homeschool my kids. They asked me, hey, what school are you sending Amira to? And I said, I'm not going to send her to school. I'm going to homeschool her. That's all I said. I didn't say homeschooling's better and this and that. I didn't even say I'm going to homeschool because it's better. To be honest, when I don't care about you, I don't want to share anything with you because there's no point. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste my energy. Like, there's a lot of people that need my help. A lot of people that need my help. And I want to help those people. And if I have to stop and explain something to somebody that's not going to use it, it's like wasting my time. So I don't try to convince anybody of anything is what I'm trying to tell you. The only time I come out and preach to people is in this scenario like right now. I'm saying, hey, I'm going to do this. Are you interested? You raised your hand. You came on this webinar, so I'm going to say it. But I'm never in a mission to try to save anybody and convert anybody. So now they're upset, I guess, about this homeschooling thing. They're upset that I'm naming my child after what they consider an outsider. Okay, and the reality of the situation is the reason why they're so upset is because they feel threatened by it. Because they're a 97%er, and they're going, why is he going to homeschool his kid? Is it because he thinks that we're stupid putting our kids in school? Is that what it is? You know? And I didn't say anything, and they're already mad about it. You understand? And that's what's going to happen to you when you quit your job to pursue your martial arts career. People say, what an idiot. He quit his job? What a dumb asshole. He's going to be so regretting it. What's he going to do if he don't make money with his career, with his martial arts stuff? What's he going to do? What's he going to do? And they say that because they had dreams and they didn't have the balls to pursue them. And deep down inside, they wish they had the balls to quit their job. So rather than them criticize themselves and their lack of courage, it's easier to tear you down. So that's why you can't take it personal when what you perceived were friends start hating on you. Because they're not doing it to spite you. They're doing it for themselves. They need to do this. Because if they for a second judge themselves to be cowards or to be not doing the best thing, it's going to destroy them. So it's so much easier just to write you off as a jerk. So that's why the hater is going to happen. I remember the first time I was at Lloyd's, when I was about to go home, he told me, Marbles, by the way, there's one thing to warn you about. I said, what? He said that all the people that were your friends, they're all going to hate you. And I laughed. I said, Lloyd, man, you don't know. Remember, I was still in the beginner phase. I wasn't fully into doing everything my mentor said without question. I would actually question them. This is the first week. But Lloyd's different, bro. Like, my guys are different. Like, because back then, almost all my boys were training for free. I had people living in my house. At one point, I had 3 fighters living in my house, rent-free. You know, like, someone needed my car, lended my car. Like, Lloyd, you're like my family. You don't know. It's different, my guy. It's different. When I got back home, long story short, all those guys hated my guts after a while. I have maybe like 1 or 2 people from the old school that are still my friends. And I didn't do anything to those guys. But they all started saying, like, you know, oh, I'll give you an example. There was one fighter that used to be close to me. And when I got back, the first thing I did, he had his own school. We used to like cross-train together. He had a kickboxing school. So the first thing I did when I got back is that I told, well, it was my kickboxing coach. I told my kickboxing coach at the time, hey, look, man, I learned this great stuff, man, about business. It's going to change the whole dynamic. Let me go to your gym and teach you how to do all this stuff. Because he didn't take credit card. He didn't take anything. So, like he had no business knowledge. So I was like, let me go over there, show you this 30-day free trial, show you this, show you that. And he said, oh, Marco, this is the thing, man. I really don't know anything about business. I'm really slow. I'm not good with that. I want you to go to, I'm going to call him Johnny for point of this thing. I don't want to put his real name out there. I want you to go to Johnny, and he'll do it for me, because Johnny was like his right-hand man, like his #1 fighter. So when Johnny came to train at FFA, I told him, hey, Johnny, we got to talk, about this thing, because I'm going to show you how to take the credit card machines and stuff, and I'm going to show you how to do everything. Yeah, okay, we'll do it. And then he would, like, run out. So eventually I cornered him. He came to the gym and I cornered him. And before training, I put him in the office and I said, look, here you go. On this CD here, I have all the contracts that I reworded and I put your gym name on it. So you don't have to do anything. Here's the forms for the credit card company. They're waiting for your call. Let them know that I told them to expect it from you. Just tell them that Marco sent you. Here's this. Here's that. Da-da-da. I gave him everything. And he looked at me with this funny face and nodded his head up and down slowly. I said, okay, okay, thank you. Didn't implement a single thing. A year later, FFA starts blowing up. We expand 2 times. I'm being known now as the rich school. Like, you know, everyone's like targeting me now, you know. And this guy starts getting more and more dry with me. And I start hearing rumors. He's telling people I only care about money and this and that. I'm like, man, why is he saying that? Why is he saying that? So then one day after training, my dad's putting up a plasma TV in the waiting room. So we're putting up the plasma TV for the first time. And we're hanging up in the waiting room. And he looks at it. And he looks at my dad and says, you need to ventilate it. My dad said, what? He goes, you need to ventilate it. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, you need to ventilate the money. Otherwise, it starts to get moldy. Like what he was trying to say was, I have so much money that I have to spend it on anything. Because like, if I don't spend it, it's going to get moldy. You know? So like, it was one of those catch-22s where if I buy the plasma TV, I have to ventilate my money because there's so much of it. But if I don't reinvest into my team, all I care about is money and I'm greedy. It's kind of like the story of the old man, the young boy, and the donkey. There's an old man, a young boy, and a donkey. And they're going to the town. And the old man puts the young boy in the donkey. And he walks next to the donkey while the boy's on the donkey. When they get into the first town, he can hear people talking, saying, look at that bastard little kid. He's so perfectly healthy, and he makes that poor old man, he makes his grandpa walk. What an ungrateful little kid. So the old man felt terrible about it. So when they were going into the next town, he decided he'll ride the donkey and he let the little boy walk. So when they go into the next town, he hears people talking, saying, look at that bastard old man. That poor little kid walking. That old man should take care of the kid. The kid comes first. The kid should be on the donkey. So he was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. So when he goes to the next town, they both ride the donkey together at the same time. So when they walk into the town, people go, look at those 2 bastards overloading that poor animal. I cannot believe it. One of them could easily walk. They shouldn't put so much weight in that poor donkey. Now the old man's furious. So they go into the next town. They both are walking next to the donkey. No one's on it. They're just walking next to the donkey. And you hear people go, look at those 2 assholes. They have a perfectly good donkey and nobody's riding it. All right? So the point is, if you cannot try to appease the hater. You're going to get hated no matter what. Just deal with it. Just embrace it. Like, okay, it's going to happen. The good news is that other 3%ers don't hate. That's a 3%er trait. 3%ers, like, they cheer you on. They give you high fives. You know? So a lot of these people are going to hate on you. One more thing on this because I consider it important. The reason why these guys hate on me like that is because we all started the same spot. It's like if me and you are identical twins with the same mom, same everything, with the same upbringing. And we start algebra together. And you get an A and I get a B. Now, there's 2 things that can happen. I can legitimately congratulate you on your A and be happy for you on your A. But if I do that, the natural question I have to ask is if what you did was so good, if E and A was good, why didn't I do it? And then I have to analyze my failure. So rather than do that, the average result would be to go, yeah, man, the reason why he got an A, that guy's a nerd, bro. He had no life, you know. I got a girlfriend and stuff. That guy just sits there and just studies all day. But I feel bad for him. He's such a nerd. See, they'd rather bring you down to their level. However, that being said, okay, that pain that Johnny felt was that we were both broke, we were both together, and now I was big and he wasn't. And that's why he resented me. But the good news is this. All the future people that meet you will love you the way you are because they don't get offended by it. Like now, if I were to meet Johnny's twin who never met me, he'd be cool with me because in his world, I started ahead of him. It's like if we would do a 2-mile race, but in this 2-mile race, I started 1 mile ahead of you. When I win the race, are you be like mad that you lost? No, you'd be like, nah, yeah, cool, because he was ahead of me. Matter of fact, if I was Lance Armstrong and I was a mile ahead of you when we started the race, after the race, you won my autograph. Like the point is like, when you start ahead of people, they don't take offense to it. They take it like, because it's not on them. They were not expected to be able to do as good as you. because you started with so much more than they had. So all the students I have now adore me. But that initial group, yeah, you're probably going to lose all of them. You might keep one or two. The well-intentioned loser. The well-intentioned loser, you know him, okay? He's a guy that wants to give you good advice based on his own experiences. On that thread with Ruben, one person got on there and told him, nah, bro, don't do it. Don't quit your job. Or the thing I told you about on Facebook where he said, should I pursue my MMA dream or should I do the family tradition and become a cop? One of the guys on there, I mean, I don't mean to be mean when he sees this, but he's a fighter as well. But I guess he hasn't been that successful financially with his career as a fighter. So when he posted on it, oh, whatever you do, don't do it, man. You got to be a cop. It's much better. You get much better benefits. You know, all you're gonna get with fighting is a broken body and no money. It was something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but it was like that. It was like you had no money and a broken body. So what happened is, financially speaking, with his career, I mean, he may be a great fighter, a fantastic fighter, but financially speaking, with his career, he was a loser. And he's giving advice based on what he experienced. So he is being well-intentioned. Like, he's not trying to hate negatively on Ruben. He's not trying to take Ruben down. He doesn't want Ruben to go through what he went through. Like, I know the guys, and he was being genuine. That's the well-intentioned loser. You need to watch out with him too. Because he's, you know, you're not going to have me telling you that. Why? Because I succeeded with it. Like, what are you talking about? I broken body and broken this, no money. That's the total opposite of what I'm going through right now. So they have to watch out for the well-intentioned loser. Watch out for the hater, and watch out for the well-intentioned loser. Well-intentioned loser is also your family. I don't mean when I say loser, guys, I'm not saying they're bad people and stuff. I'm just saying with regards to what you want. See, you are where you are in your life because of you. And you are a result of your family and your upbringing, period. Okay? If I got your brain right now and you ripped it out, okay, and got Lloyd Irvin's brain and put it into your head, do you think Lloyd Irvin would be broke and stuff? Nah, bro. He would implement all the stuff he knows already into whatever situation you're in and become successful. All right? So it's a matter of you. And the reason why I have the amount I have and not more is because of my current mind state. The reason why I don't have $20 million in the bank is because of me. You know, if you got Bill Gates' brain or Donald Trump's brain and put it in my head, he'll be doing things right now differently the way I'm doing it and make more money in my exact same shoes. Okay? If you put Donald Trump in my brain, I'm sure he'll be making more money than I am. Okay? So with regards, you know, that's the thing. So if I want to make Donald Trump money, I got to do things differently. And that's why I'm always seeking new knowledge. And I'm always trying to learn more. Okay? I am still a white belt. I still have an empty cup. When I go to Lloyd every other month or so. If you don't believe me, ask the students. They see me there all the time. To continue learning from him so I can get closer and closer to being like a Donald Trump brain. Okay? My goal is to be a Lloyd Irvin brain. My goal is like you could transfer Lloyd's brain to mine and I have the same results anyways. Well, your family is responsible with the upbringing and everything around it to where you're at right now. So don't if you don't like where you're at right now, if you want more than what you got, it makes no sense to take the advice from your family. Like my mom and dad, they're not like broke people. You know, my dad was an engineer, my mom's an attorney, but they're not like financially independent people either. You know, so like they're college educated and all that. You know, and they make good money like compared to most people. I'm not gonna put my parents' income out there, you know, but they're not financially independent people. My mom has to work every day. My dad has to work. They have to work. See what I'm saying? Like, I could take off for 2 months, 3 months, and not have to work, and I still make the same money. So, for me to take advice from them, I never did. You know, I always take my business advice from Lloyd and those guys because I'm looking at who's giving me the advice. I know that my parents are well-intentioned. My parents mean the best for me. But you have to understand, if they knew how to become millionaires, they would be millionaires. Does that make sense? If your parents knew what it was to be millionaires, they would be millionaires already. They wouldn't just be giving you advice about becoming a millionaire. It's like trying to take diet tips from a fat guy. Goodbye, friends. I already hit this up. A lot of these so-called friends you have, they drop you by the wayside. I tell this to everybody, and they'll tell you themselves. Jason can get on here and tell you about it. Devin can come on here and tell you about it. Kevin can get on here and tell you about it. All my proteges, those are my main 3 proteges right now. Okay, Kevin, Jason, and Devin. And I told them all about it. They kind of didn't believe me. They thought it was different. And that's the one that people have the hardest time accepting. People have the hardest time accepting that one, that little nugget. And it wasn't long. It was like maybe 4 or 5 months into the tutelage, into me tutoring them, teaching them, mentoring them, that they started to notice the drop-off from all their friends. The team always comes first. Well, last point. I stuck to my team and focused on my boys. I already beat this to death. Okay, I didn't. I had an us versus them mentality with my students and my boys. You know, it was all about them. And right now, like, everything's about my guys. So the team has to come first. Paying students versus team members. There's 2 kinds of people in the gym. There's paying students versus team members. Paying students they're the majority of the bulk of your gym. They're people that they come in, they pay for a service. They give you $150 a month or $100 a month or $200 a month. And in exchange, they get a service that they feel comfortable with. As long as they're getting that service, they don't care about anything else. They don't care if one of the guys in the team loses a fight. They don't care if you lost 5 students that month. They don't care if your competitors are doing great and you're not doing so great. As long as they're getting what they want from the money they're investing in your school, they're happy. Team members are like family. Team members, a team member, if he's walking into the gym and he sees a piece of garbage, like an empty Gatorade bottle on the floor, he picks up the bottle and throws it in the trash. A paying student will just walk right by it. You know, a team member is somebody that has a us versus them mentality. Okay, we are competing against the local schools. If you want to pretend you're not, that's fine. It doesn't help the antelope to pretend that the tigers are not trying to eat it. Okay, when you are in, it is a Darwinian world out there. Okay, it's kill or be killed. Okay, people are survival of the fittest. It's all true. And on the local level, you are competing against the local schools. There's only so many students, potential students, to be recruited from a given area, and they're going to either go to your school or go to the other school. It's direct competition, and whoever has the, and if they take all your students, that's it. You're going to go broke. It's between if you want to be independent, financially independent, and have guys in the UFC and all that stuff. It's between you and these other schools, because they're recruiting for the talent like you are. UFC champions out there waiting to be recruited. So they go to your buddy's school or they go to your school. So paying students don't really care. They'll train at other schools. They'll hang out with people from other schools. They'll exchange techniques with people from other schools. It's like they have fun. Like, hey, let's go train at this guy's school, because they don't care. They don't care that their presence helped make that school better. They don't care. They don't care. It's not their problem. Team members do care. It's like if somebody insulted my brother. If somebody went up to my brother's wife and smacked her in the face. And then I go to my brother, hey, Dave, I'm going to go hang out with that guy this weekend. We'll call that guy Pepe. I'm going to go hang out with Pepe this weekend, because what happened between you and him, that's between you guys. I'm still cool with him. He's a nice guy. He's funny. That's pretty fucked up, right? Well, that's how team members feel. Like a team member, if somebody does something wrong to one of the team members, the entire team sticks with that guy, because we're family. If somebody goes and spits on Jason's face, and that guy was a friend of mine from like a local school, and we were like amicable, like in public settings, Or let's say we're all on the same team here, and a paying student, one of the blue belts here or something, spits on Jason and leaves to another team. I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm still cool with that guy because he was my blue belt. Jason, that thing that him spitting on you and stuff, that's between you two guys. Nah, man, if you got a problem with Jason, you got a problem with me. And I don't mean in a thug way, like I'm not gonna go kick the guy's ass or anything stupid like that. But I am going to avoid him like I would anybody that spit in my own face. I'm going to treat that guy the same way I would treat anybody that spit in my own face. So whatever you do to Jason, it's like doing it to me. We have a us versus them mentality. And the big conflict with most gyms, where they get all the drama with their students and stuff, is that they confuse paying students with team members. They think that just because someone's a purple belt that they're a team member. No, man, I got high-ranking belts. I got professional fighters. I got employees that are paying students. I have instructors that are paying students, like not high-level instructors. I'm very careful not to put high-level instructors as team members. Sometimes I'll use a paying student as an assistant instructor or a beginner instructor or something like that, or a kid's coach or something like that. I never put paying students anywhere near my important positions. So they confuse paying students with team members, and they give paying students like team member type of attention. Remember I said about the rings? My team members in my inner ring. So what happens is there's people that will get like a purple belt paying student and pour their heart into that person the way that only a family member deserves to be given. And then when that guy gets up and goes to another school, man, the business owner's torn. It's like, oh my God, son of a bitch, I can't believe you did that and that. And the other guy's like, what, man? Just taking my business elsewhere. What's the big deal? They don't get it. It was like a one-sided relationship where you poured your heart into that person and they didn't pour it back. Okay? With me and my mentor and my way to the top, it was always a team focus. Like Lloyd is family to me. That's why I'm naming my son after him. You know, despite the fact that everyone in my family and my cousins and stuff hate it doesn't matter. They can kiss my ass. No one's done more for me in my life outside of my own direct nucleus. Outside of my wife, brother, mom, and dad, no one has done as much for me in my life, not even close, as what Lord Irvin has done for me. So everyone else can kiss my goddamn ass if they don't like that name. You know, I don't give a damn. All right? So I've always had that team mentality when it comes to my nucleus, and I believe it's one of the key reasons for my success. Because I've been able to have a good, loyal troop. Because think about it, there's only so much you can do by yourself. If you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of you that are in the same goals, it's powerful. That's why a team is kick-ass, man. But you can't confuse team members with paying students. Paying students like mercenaries. In The Prince, by Niccolo Machiavelli, he warns princes about the usage of mercenaries. So mercenaries can never be trusted. Mercenaries are only good for temporary use and to avoid them at all costs. To have your own armies. Paying students are like mercenaries. You can recruit them. You can, you know, they're easy to recruit. You can recruit a purple belt from another school easy. Trust me. If you try it and you know what to do, it's easy. If he's a paying student, he'll switch over in a second. Just give him some attention, offer him some perks, blow up his ego, he'll switch. But team members, when you get your team members together, man, it's like a brotherhood, and it's just so much more that can be done. As my success grew, so did opportunities for my team. Right now, I have a fighter house. My boys, Jason and Devin, I just started this fighter house. I just bought this. I bought a condo for them, and now I'm in the process of getting a real house. I got a 2-story house that they're going to be moving into. But him, Devin, Jason, and I have Shaw in the fighter house as well. He's the fight manager. And these 3 guys, I cover the house is paid for. Like I cover the electricity, I cover the water, and I give them all $100 a week so they can eat, so they don't have to pay for food. And all these guys do from morning to night is train, train, train. They are on a mission. They want to be UFC champions. So every day they're training with zero thinking about like how they're going to pay their bills, how they're going to eat. That's not an issue for them. And the downtime in between training, because they train about 4 to 5 hours a day, the downtime in between training, they're reading up on books about about the psychology of combat. I have all these reading materials for them. They're watching videos about techniques. They're watching what I consider like important fights, historical fights. And then I'm also teaching them about the business of martial arts because they've expressed to me that they also want to have their own schools when they retire. So I've been teaching them how to do sales copy, how to make websites. These guys have made already a whole bunch of websites for me, how to use Photoshop, how to do webinars. I'm teaching them that now. And I fly them all over the country. I've flown Jason to California to do a 1-week boot camp on public speaking. I've sent Devin to a boot camp about how to do webinars. And of course, I fly for all their traveling. These guys travel all across the country to compete. Jason's competing in the FILA World Team Trials for grappling. Devin this weekend's going to the Naga over in Atlantic City. This is continuous. So I'm able to do this because of my success that came from my team, and I'm giving back to my team. and that these guys are going to have a great advantage over everybody else. They have what I call an outlier advantage. You have to understand, like, I'll get more into that in a second, outliers. I'm always actively seeking out new stars to bring up. I'm always in the hunt. I'm in my gym. I'm always have my eyes open, looking at my guys, seeing who could become the next person that I put into my program, into my personal circle, into my inner circle. And there's a lot of people that want to be in it, but I just haven't selected them yet. And if you are one of these people that want to be in it, I just have to give you the advice of Barnes, and wait your time, and wait till you get picked out. And in the meantime, do everything the way I say that should be done. If you were one of these guys, like I have a couple of guys that expressed to me over and over, hey, how do I get into Fighter House? But then they'll train at other gyms, or they'll not come to my classes, or they'll inconsistent with my classes, or I catch them like on Facebook bragging about drinking up a storm and that. Because I have a lot of rules about the Fighter House. Like, my guys are not allowed to drink. They're not allowed to do any kind of drugs. They keep strict healthy diets. Because right now they're racing. They're trying to catch up. Jason's 135, so his race is against Dominic Cruz, who Jason, I actually got to send Jason to train for a month with Dominic Cruz as his #1 sparring partner as part of the whole benefits of being part of my Fighter House. He was the chief sparring partner with Dominic Cruz for 6 weeks, along with Shaw. But all that being said, there's only enough space for one world champion, and Dominic Cruz is world champion. Jason's doing his first MMA fight next month. So his ultimate goal is to have that strap. If Dominic still has it, then Dominic's the guy he has to take down. So as he's doing this, he has the mentality of, okay, I got to train harder than Dominic. I got to do more than Dominic, And if Dominic loses the belt to somebody else, well, it's about that guy, And keeping that in mind, there's no time to be fucking around. There's no time to be smoking pot. There's no time to be getting drunk. It's every step counts. Every day counts. They say when you write a book that every word counts. They say when you play chess, every move counts. Well, in life and career hunting, every day counts. Every second of the day counts. Every second. What you're doing right now counts. Everything counts. So I'm always actively seeking out new stars to bring up in the team. The power of a strong team is like having many batteries powering at once. One battery might not be able to do anything, but you put like a whole bunch lined up together and you can do anything. Birds of a feather flock together. I've said it over and over. I don't associate myself with losers. I don't associate myself with 97%ers. I avoid 97%ers like if they're a virus, like a plague. All day long, I'm around people that I consider champions, consider winners. Like, I want to rub off on me. Jason and Devin, although they don't have the knowledge I have right now, personality-wise, they're champions. Like, I feel that I gain from them when I hang out with them. Like, when I hang out with Jason and Devin, when I leave, I feel more pumped up, more determined, because they're very determined. They're very pumped up. They're making the sacrifices. They're very focused. Same thing with Kevin. These people are very special people. So I never associate myself with anyone that I don't consider special. If I look at you and I feel like you're going to try to complain about stuff and blame the government for things and blame this and blame your skin color and blame that, I'm going to get as far the fuck away from you as I can. Because right now I only live one life. I need to be around successful people. So let's talk more about finding the right mentor, because this is the key ingredient to succeeding right now. Diet tips from a fat guy. Avoid the unsuccessful like to give advice on how to be successful. Like in that thread that Ruben had, he had a lot of fat people giving advice about dieting. Now, if a fat guy gives you tips on dieting, it doesn't mean he's wrong. He might be right, okay? But the natural question you're going to wonder is, if this diet's so good, why aren't you doing it? The same thing with trying to get tips about success from unsuccessful people. If you know what you're talking about, why aren't you successful? That's why I don't believe in college. Oh, all these college professors are going to try to sit there and talk to you about, or even high school, any of these guys, they're going to try to teach you how to become successful. But meanwhile, they're making what, $50K a year, $100K a year most? If that guy knew how to make millions of dollars a year, he wouldn't be there. Okay, so that's the point. Like, you want to make money, hang out with people who make money. You want to learn how to make millions of dollars? Hang out with guys that make millions of dollars. They'll show you how. Now, you want to learn how to be a world champion, a competitor. Be with world champion coaches. You're not gonna become a world caliber competitor by being coached by a guy that's never coached anything. You need to be around people that are producing. You want to learn how to have a career as a martial arts gym, with a martial arts gym. You got to be around someone that's a successful martial arts gym. It sounds common sense, but you think about it. A lot of people I know are not in those positions. Loyalty is a two-way street. Your mentor should be loyal to you like you are loyal to him. If you are going for a fight and your coach, don't even send anybody to go with you, just let you go by yourself, that guy's obviously not loyal to you. You need to be the loyalty is always a two-way street. How dedicated is your instructor to his own cause? Did he burn his boats as well? I know too many coaches that are having that teach part-time. In other words, they have a full-time job and then they come to their gym. Avoid that guy. If you want to have a martial arts career, how can you have a martial arts career to someone who doesn't even have a martial arts career? Like, a martial arts career is a martial arts career, and this guy does not have a martial arts career if he's working a job on the side. The proof is in the pudding. What has he produced? If the instructor has nothing to brag about, if he has no impressive fight record, if he has no credentials produced under him, why do you think you're going to be the first one all of a sudden? Don't put your trust in someone that hasn't produced anything. You only live one life. Don't be the guinea pig. Don't be the guy he might be the first one he does anything with. Is he a 3%er? Look at his traits. Do you consider him a 3%er or do you consider him a 97%er? Does he do things different than 97% of the population, or does he do things the way 97% of martial artists would do? That's what you need to ask yourself. It will be your decision. Don't seek approval from 97%. When you find the right mentor, go to him. Don't and do it based on your own decision making. Don't go out to other people and say, well, do you think I should do this? Because again, you're going to be asking 97%ers. How do you expect a 97%er to know what a 3% decision looks like? That's like I said, asking your parents, you think I should do this job and make millions of dollars? If they don't have millions of dollars, how the F should they know? When it comes down to it, don't seek approval from 97%. This has to be something that's your decision. When I decided to pursue martial arts, by the way, my parents hated it, and they begged me not to do it. I was an embarrassment to my family, to my grandparents and uncles and aunts, that I wasn't going to pursue engineering. I was considered a failure. Now I make money than all those guys. I make more than all my freaking uncles and cousins and stuff like that. Yeah, now they're proud of it and they brag about it now. But at the time, it was considered a failure. I made my own decision. I didn't seek their approval. Now, will the mentorship of your mentor put you in an outlier position? There's a book that you should read. It's excellent. It's called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. In the book, he kind of profiles lots of rich and successful people, the Beatles and anyone that's become a success, Bill Gates, things like that. And he goes behind the scenes and actually describes how it wasn't just their own will, but they had like unfair advantages over people. Like Bill Gates at the time had access to the first like modern computer. Like before people were programming, they used like these cards that you like punch holes in and you program with these cards. And Bill Gates was like the first guy. His school that he was at was one of only like 3 schools in the country or something that had the new kind of computer. And he had like hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, something like 10,000 hours of practice on this thing, while no one else even had access to it. So he had like an outlier advantage. So you want to find a mentor that can give you that kind of advantage. Like what I did for Jason and these guys, it's a similar thing. Like Jason has an outlier advantage. Jason gets to travel all over the country competing. He don't pay for food. He don't pay for rent. He has full-time access to world caliber trainers all day long. He got to spar. He hadn't even done his first MMA fight. He had to be the #1 sparring partner for Dominic Cruz. If you watch all the UFC 24/7 footage, it was all Jason in there with Dominic Cruz. So like how many guys do you know that started out before their first fight being able to say they spent 6 weeks training with the world champion? Okay, so like this is an outlier position. So Jason also got to go to Cuba. He boxed 2 weeks in Cuba he had to spar with an Olympic bronze medalist. Keep in mind, he still hasn't done his first fight yet. So when Jason goes out there and starts stomping people, he had a nice unfair advantage that other white belts did not get to have, because he got the right mentor and put himself into an outlier position. I have an unfair advantage. I got an outlier position with Lloyd Irvin, where he was taking me under his wing, giving me hours and hours of advice on a daily. Man, I talk to him every single week, and I get hours and hours of advice, whereas no one else gets this kind of tips. My competitors don't have that kind of access. So I have an outlier position. So you want to make sure your mentor can give you that outlier position. Distance and your current financial status do not matter. I hate when people say, oh, but I don't live near you, or oh, I'm too broke. It does not matter. But Edwin Barnes didn't wonder how he's going to, I don't have enough money or live too far away from Edison. He just went over there. Okay? He went over there, introduced himself to Edison, and made it happen. College is a waste of time. Now, when I say college is a waste of time, I mean with regards to becoming financially independent and with regards to martial arts. If you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, yeah, you got to go to college. Okay? I'm not taking that away. But if you want to become a financially independent martial artist, college is a waste of time. For every year of college knowledge, I can give that to you in a month. I'm not even exaggerating. If you don't believe me, go to Lloyd Irvin's next event, and you'll be blown away about the amount you'll learn. I have MBAs giving testimonials to Master Lloyd and I about the stuff we're providing, saying how it compares to years of schooling. So college is a total waste of time. If you wanna learn how to swim, find a swimmer. A guy who's a professor is going to coach you about how to make millions of dollars when he's never, he's making $50K in his college classroom. If he could make more, he wouldn't be there. I already talked about that. And he's going to teach you about business, and you got to modify it about your martial arts school. Why do all that work? You just find a guy, go find a mentor who already has a martial arts school business. It's $1 million business, and just learn directly from the source. No translating, no nothing. Just hit the ground running. It's just I believe it's common sense at this point. The only reason why we all get pressured to go to college is because our families and our upbringing. When you're in elementary school, when you're in high school, everyone's telling you, oh, go to college, get a degree, and you get brainwashed with that, and you feel like less of a person if you don't get your degree. When in reality, it's just a piece of paper, and a pretty worthless piece of paper. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. That's what I'm talking about. Don't let everyone convince you have to go to college. I'm a college dropout. Okay, life goes on. How important is chasing your dream? How many people are happy? Be honest about that. How many people do you know are genuinely happy? How many people do you think that if they were to die tomorrow, they'd be like, you know what? I did everything I set out to do in my life. Unfortunately, it's very few. Unfortunately, I think my belief is that only 3% of the population is truly happy. That's why everyone needs to drink, everyone needs to smoke weed. Everyone needs that, because the reality is that their current state of mind is not euphoric enough. Guys, I'm not lying when I tell you this. When I lay in bed, I look up and my wife on my left, and I sleep with my baby daughter right now. She's 18 months, okay? I look at my baby daughter on my other side, and I think to myself, my God, this is so awesome. And like, there's nothing I would want to do to even numb that a little bit. And true happiness, I could die tomorrow and be very freaking satisfied. You put a gun to me, I say, you know what? I did a lot, man. And I helped a lot of people, and I've lived a truly happy life. Most people go their entire life and never ever go to say that. Okay, so how many people are truly happy? That's the question. The answer to that question. How important is chasing your dream? It's super important, because now you can live your whole life, be 90 years old, be in your deathbed. Look, guys, close your eyes right now. Go ahead and close them. I'm being serious. Close your eyes. In a second, you're going to open them, and you're going to be in your deathbed. You'll be in a hospital, the worst place in the world. I don't know how many of you have ever seen someone die in a hospital. I'm sure everyone has someone they've seen die in a hospital. I saw my grandma die in a hospital. And it's the worst place you could die in. It's a terrible place to die in. No one cares. Everyone's desensitized. The room is not your room. You're sitting in this bed. There's all these noises, these things in your arms, and you're going to die, and you know it. Now, right now, at this moment, can you look back at your life and say, I did everything that I wanted to do? Not be like, I'm okay with what happened. No. Did you do everything you wanted to do? Did you get to kick life's ass? Did you get to do everything that you wanted to do? That's the importance of tracing your dreams, because tomorrow it's going to happen, guys. You're going to open your eyes and you're going to be there. Don't wait. Act now. Get everything out of life. It's possible. Does money equal happiness? No. Okay? It does not. But for some people it is. Maybe your goals has nothing to do with money. It doesn't matter. The whole thing is chasing goals that you want. What do you want out of life, and get it? For me, money was part of it, but it doesn't have to be. Maybe your goal is to be UFC champion. You don't give a damn about money. That's fine. But Don't settle. Get what you want. What you want when you really, I won't sound like that song, what you really, really want. Get what you really, really want out of life. Oh, and I'll say that one quote Lloyd likes to say from Gary Halbert. Money does not make happiness, but money will take away all the problems that not having money creates. Like, think of any problem that you have because you don't have money, and money will take care of that problem. But it does not create happiness, but it will take away any problems that not having money creates. You are not a cat. You only live once. You have no 9 lives. Okay? Live this one. Your opportunity to be a champion competitor is between 20 to 35 years old, and you have the rest of your life to do everything else. You want to be a drunk and all that? Great, man. But between 20 to 35, that's your window. They're saying now that the person that's going to live 150 years old was born this year. The first person to live to be 150. In other words, me and you and all of us, we're not going to live to 150, but we're probably going to live to 110, 120 years old. Believe it or not. You have a long life after 35. You have the rest of your life to do anything you want. But from 20 to 35, you want to be a world champion fighter? You got to hit that running right now. There's no time for breaks. To train full time, all you need is food, a roof on your head, and the right team. I love when people tell me, oh, but how am I going to make money? It's not like, all you need is food, a roof on your head, and the right team. A roof on your head, I don't mean like a house and stuff. I mean like you can live 6 guys in a 1-bedroom condo. It's just a roof, okay? If you got a roof on your head, you have food, and you have the right team to train with, that's all you need to train full time. That's it. Is it a luxurious lifestyle? No, that's all you need. That's why my guys, I took care of that for them. They have food, they have roofs on their head, and they got the team. That's the whole concept of Fighter House. What is a professional martial artist? This is my definition. This is not a general definition. This is my definition of a professional martial artist. A professional martial artist trains twice a day, and in between training sessions is still working towards his career. He works a minimum of 40 hours a week. In other words, when you're not actually physically training, there's only so much your body can take. In between training, you should be reading about martial arts. You should be watching movies or videos or anything, technique videos about martial arts. You should be eating martial arts. It means you're eating healthy. He's always working towards his career. Black belt is a goal of every martial artist. The body is very important to the martial artist and is respected by a true professional. If I give you a car right now, just any car, I give you a car, and I tell you though, this is the last car you'll ever own in your entire life. You're not allowed from this day on to ever own another car. So this car breaks down, you're walking for the rest of your life. Would you put regular gas or premium gas into that car? If it was the last car you ever owned, you could put premium gas. So how come people treat their bodies different? You're not going to get another body, okay? You're not going to get another life. You know why? Because people never think about death. No one really thinks about death. You wake up, you go to sleep, you wake up, you go to sleep. You don't really believe you're going to die. You don't really believe it, because none of us really do. You don't really go to sleep at night and go, shit, I'm one day closer to dying. No one ever thinks about it, so they don't treat their body like the way it should be treated. But the fact of the matter is, to a professional martial artist who's going to fight for a living, his body is very important. And you should be putting in only premium gas. That means no junk food, no alcohol, no drugs, no steroids, none of this bullshit people are doing these days. Treat your body and respect it. A professional martial artist is extremely disciplined. A true pro makes no excuses. No excuses, guys. Dan Kennedy has this theory that people prefer good excuses over good results, like on average. What does that mean? Because to get good results, you gotta blow through the good excuses. Like on a day-to-day basis, there's things that come up that would stop the average man. Like, for example, I had a push-up challenge, but then I was having a baby. And it would have been easy for me to say, oh, you know what, I couldn't do my push-ups because I had a baby. And I would have lost the good results that come from doing those push-ups. So instead I said, nah, F it. I'm going to do the push-ups right here in the waiting room. Because I blew through the excuses. But the thing is that people prefer good excuses. People love the comfort of being able to come in and say, oh, I was late because the power went out of my house. Oh, I was late because my dog died. Oh, I was late because I had to give my girlfriend a ride to work. And they feel like a comfort, like, oh, I got a good excuse. There should be no freaking comfort in a good excuse. You should prefer the good results. If your car broke down, call a taxi. Okay? If your girlfriend needs a ride to work, give her money to get a taxi to go to work. Because you need the results, and the results mean being at training on time. You should prefer the good results of training on time, like paying for that taxi, than the excuse of, oh, I couldn't be there because I had to give my girlfriend a ride. These are all real excuses I'm giving you, by the way. I had to give my girlfriend a ride to work. That's a bullshit excuse to miss training. Kyle Maynard. Look him up. He has a book called No Excuses. This guy was born with no arms and no legs. He has little nubs. He's like a little nubs are like a couple inches out on his arms and little nubs on his legs. And this guy types with nubs. He types in like 60 words a minute. He eats with a fork and a knife. People thought he would never be able to do a lot of things. He's got like a whole list of things he's been able to do. He's a successful man. He makes a lot of money. He's a public speaker. He's a champion wrestler in high school and college. He won a Naga tournament. He submitted a couple of people. He's done like all kinds of miraculous things that a lot of people would have never even tried to do because of the old excuse of, oh, I have no arms and no legs. Oh, I can't type because I have no arms. Oh, I can't do wrestling because I have no arms. He ended up fighting an MMA fight. Yes, he lost. But you know what? How many people do you know that talk about doing a fight and never in their life, with 2 arms and 2 legs, never in their life will do an MMA fight? And this guy, man, God bless him, he got in there and fought. Okay? I'm telling you right now, you know why he's so successful? Because he refuses to make excuses. He will never say, I can't do this because I have no arms and no legs. He will try. He prefers the good results. He will go through the pain of getting the good results. Okay? You should prefer good results over excuses. My own guys use excuses. Like right now, oh, I can't attend the webinar because I'm going to be in church. You've got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Like, to me, that's funny. I don't know. Like you cannot be missing something like this if you know the results. Like, these guys know me. Maybe the other people that registered and show up don't know me. But these guys know me. They know what I've done. They know what I can do. And then I tell you I'm going to show you how to do it, and you don't attend. That's a problem. Yes or no. Everything's yes or no. If I ask you, are you late? Say yes or no. Don't give me an excuse. Too many times people try to give an excuse for things. They go, hey, did you finish a project? Yeah, but no, but nothing. Yes or no? No. Okay. Get used to yes or no. Because when you don't use one yes or no, it means you start making excuses naturally in the middle. A major breakthrough in my life was self-accountability. The second I accepted that everything was my fault, my current position in my life is because of me. I don't have more money in my life because of me. Anything that happens in the gym that I didn't like was because of me. Everything is my fault. The second I started having self-accountability is when I start to succeed. When an employee screws up here, I don't blame the employee. I blame me. I should have had better procedures, better policies, so this wouldn't have happened. I should have detected this guy being a bad employee before putting him in the job. Like, everything's going to be, when something bad happens, I create a policy afterwards to prevent it from happening again. Maybe a different interview system, maybe a different, like with Fighter House, I've had like 2 guys try out for Fighter House, and I spent like 3 or 4 months of my time working on them, and then they dropped out of it, and a common thing would be like to try to, oh yeah, it's a guy, he was a wuss, whatever. The reality was my fault. I didn't do the scouting right, so I made adjustments to the scouting system. So like, everything's always my fault, and that was a major breakthrough in my life. How many fighters do you know when they lose a fight? Oh yeah, I had an injury, I had this. Oh, my coaches, my this, my that, and the last person they blame is himself. Okay, try to get the self-accountability going. Destroy your inner hater. Everyone's got a personal little inner hater. Okay, what I mean by that, we all had it. Like when I was younger, if I saw a guy my age pull up on a BMW next to me, I would look at him and go, oh, look at this guy driving daddy's car. Instead of giving him props, that guy might be a hustler. It might be someone that went out there and made that money through hard work. But what I did was, since I didn't have a car like that, I shot him down and made some kind of derogatory comment. So what does that do? That prevents me from achieving that. Because your body is not, if you recognize having money as a bad thing, like that guy is having a bad thing, like being a spoiled brat, your mind is not going to allow you to make yourself like that. It makes no sense. You wouldn't want to become something you're criticizing. So if you criticize people that are more successful than you and you talk crap about them, then you're blocking yourself from becoming successful. You should never hate on anybody. Always give praise to people and wish people well. And as a result, you're going to accomplish a lot more. I give props to every rich person I meet, or people that have more than me. They're like, there's a guy with 5 fighters in the UFC, I give him props. I don't criticize, because if you criticize, you're going to block yourself. Always give props to people. Destroy your inner hater. When you catch yourself hating, say, you know what, I'm hating this guy, and stop and give him praise. And you're going to see what's going to happen. It's almost instantaneous. You start becoming more successful because your mind starts accepting it. So we're here with a conclusion, guys. We're going to start wrapping this up now. Now, don't call me or email me to pick my brain, okay? Why? Because I'm busy. I get calls literally every week, and I get emails all the time through Facebook and stuff about people, hey, can I pick your brain? Can I pick your brain? And honestly, no. All right? This webinar was more than generous. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Still more stuff. Hang on, because there's some very key things I'm going to give at the end. But this webinar was very generous on my end, and I don't want people calling me about picking my brain about what they should do with their career and what they should do with their school. I work full-time, guys. I'm always working on my boys, doing my mentorships. I'm with my family. I'm training also. So it's like I don't have the time. It's not that I'm trying to be an asshole. It's I just don't have the time. So remember my whole inner circle stuff. Right now you're outside my circles. All right? So I got a lot of people that depend on me right now, and they need my attention first. But that being said, please feel free to introduce yourself to me via email or in person. Come up to me and say hi to me and say, hey, I was in your webinar. It was nice to meet you. Thank you very much. I do want to know you. I do want to help you. I want to hear your success stories. But the reason why I tell you not to pick my brain is just because right now I just don't have the time. Feel free to give thanks, special testimonials. I love testimonials. I'm a testimonials freak. If you can send me a video of yourself about this talk, that'd be great. I appreciate that. You can contact me about joining my team. If you are listening to this and you're interested in joining my MMA team, yeah, man, hit me up. You can I have my email here. I'll put my email up in a second, but feel free to hit me up about joining my team. We're always looking for new talent all the time. But that being said, if you want to be a professional fighter or full-time martial artist, meaning you want to become an instructor full-time or have your own school, and are interested in joining my team, make a decision first before contacting me. Okay, remember that first point we went over? Make a decision. Make a decision. Okay. I have enough people that make my fighter tryouts and don't stay the course. It's awesome. We do a fighter tryout every 3 months. Like 15 people make it through the gauntlets and all the hell and all that stuff. And of the 15 people, maybe 2 will stick around. Okay, I have enough of those people. I don't need you contacting me about moving to Miami and training with me and stuff to then 3-4 months later quit. I don't need that shit. Okay? If you want to come and join my team, if I feel like you have the right stuff, because there is an interview process, okay? If I feel you have the right stuff to come and be a part of us, all right? Make a decision first. Don't waste my time. Respect yourself and respect me. Make a decision. If you're willing to burn your boats and come down here and stuff, you're willing to put in the time like Edwin Barnes did, all right, and wait your turn, then, hit me up then. This webinar took me years to learn, and it's a result of over 16 years of work. I've had my school now for over 10 years, but I've been training for over 16 years. And it's cost me, I put hundreds of thousands of dollars, but the reality has been millions of dollars. Preparing this PowerPoint presentation took me hours, and this took a long talk. I'm not sure how long it is, so I'm giving to you guys. So my point is, don't let this be in vain. Implement right now. I want you right now to write down those. Right after we hang this thing up, I want you to write down your goals. I want you to write down that 9-step process we went over, and start thinking about how you're gonna do each step, like what decision you're gonna make, what boats you're gonna burn, what kind of knowledge you need, and who the potential mentors you should want. Start acting on this stuff right now. If you want to write your goals, you can do it Thomas Edison style and email me the goals right now. That's fine. If you know somebody, if you want to create some deadlines, remember when you create goals, they need deadlines. A goal without a deadline is just a dream. Like if I say, I want to be a UFC champion, but you don't put a date, it's just a dream, it's just a fantasy. If you say, I want to be a UFC champion by 2015, now we're talking, now there's wheels cranking, now there's deadlines having to meet. So if you want to get the ball rolling, I can be that guy to hold you accountable if you send me your goals. I don't mind doing that at all. I'll do that for everybody here. My email is marcos@ffagyms.com, or you hit me up via Facebook, Marcos Avalon, MARCOS, A V as in Victor, ELLAN. Now, websites and books to check out. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This is for everybody, fighters or business owners. Trust me on this, okay? Get this book. Oh, by the way, there's lots of versions. Doesn't matter. All the versions, what they are, is that the book is old as hell. So that people want to make money off the book. So what they do is they get an editor, and what he does is he interjects in there and like puts modern stories mixed with the old ones. Like they'll give a story about how Oprah Winfrey used the principles that Napoleon Hill's talking about, and it's actually pretty cool. Like you hear modern stories. So long story short, the version you get doesn't really matter. Just get the book. Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. Excellent book. You want to find out how to put yourself in an outlier position. You want to understand outliers. For gym owners, if you're a gym owner right now, go to www.mmainternetmarketingsecrets.com. Lloyd Irvin's having an event August 25th to 28th, I believe, in Washington D.C. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there talking as well, presenting stuff there. If you're a gym owner, register there. Email Lloyd after you register and tell him that I said you can bring 2 free guests. I think it's like $300 or $400 a guest. I already talked to Lloyd, said I can give away 2 free guests. So if you're on this webinar, mention you heard me in the webinar, you get 2 free guests. For everybody else, if you're not a gym owner, you're a fighter, go to my Facebook fan page, www.facebook.com/MarcosAvalon, and like my page so you can stay up to date with all the stuff I'm going over. If you're interested in training, email me at marcos@ffagyms.com or message me on Facebook. Give you one more second to write this all down. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, MMAinternetmarketingsecrets.com for gym owners, Facebook.com/MarcosAvalon for everybody else. And if you want to train, email me at marcos@ffagyms.com or email me on Facebook. If you're not part of my email list, please, right here on the side, go ahead and put your name and email, and I'll send you another video instantaneously upon joining the list. I send out emails every day with videos, training tips, even diet tips. If you're into mixed martial arts or grappling, you're going to love being on my list. I never send junk. I only send quality stuff. And furthermore, you can remove yourself at any point, at any time from the list. Now, if you like the video, please go all the way to the bottom here and drop a comment for me. I love feedback and I love the comments. Okay, and if you have a Facebook or a Twitter, please click on share right below this video and share this on your wall. This helps me out. Thank you very much, everybody. And again, one more time, if you're not part of my list, please put your name and email on the side. Thank you very much, everybody. Peace.